Hello, everybody. Okay, it took forever for that to go live. Hello, everybody. How are you doing on this fine Thursday? We are live. It's Thursday, June 25th, 12:32 p.m. on the East Coast, and I was not going to for sure go live today. Um, but as usual, stuff's popping off. I am going to be live tonight on making Law Simple MLS. So if y'all want to come over there, I'll be doing my very first Lego, building my very first Lego set. And you can take some guesses below what you think the Lego set's going to be, what you think it is. I'm not going to tell you though right now. So that'll be cute. Anyway, so for that reason, I was planning on like maybe not going live today. I also had a nail appointment this morning. Obviously, my hair is not even dry at the moment. So I'm like, I wasn't really planning on going live, but then last night, uh, it all hit the fan when one of the possible outcomes of this whole situation from the temporary restraining order modification, one of the potential outcomes, which did seem less likely, was, the one that where the judge would refuse to sign the agreed upon modification to the temporary restraining order. That's what happened. So I do have the documents. I do have the docket as well up, and I saw a lot of y'all freaking out. I saw a lot of no, it's not FIFA Legos. No, I saw a lot. Sorry, I'm reading y'all's comments of people freaking out in my comments on the Reddit, elsewhere about the judge refusing to sign the TRO, and it was certainly a bit unexpected as far as I'm concerned, but probably hopefully by the end of this live stream, by the end of this segment at least of the live show, y'all see how it's not actually as bad as you might think it is. And in fact and indeed, it might actually be more of a positive thing for Ben and less of a positive thing for Bam. But maybe not, like I'll tell you why I'm saying that as the show progresses. No, he. Oh, can he? Yeah, right. Okay. So anyway, all right. So here's the docket. What's this? Okay, here's the docket, and this is the thing. We did read this on live yesterday. It was like a breaking news update. Breaking news hit the docket that both sides, Ben's side, Reckless Ben, and Victor Gwynn and Reckless Ben LLC, the defendants, and Bricks and Minifigs had all agreed, and the parties on that side. Also Brian Mansell is another defendant, the one who had the Legos at first. And then the other side, they all agreed on both sides. Brandon Best, Josh Johnson on their side, Ammon, I guess Matt, Bricks and Minifigs, all them. So they all had agreed to modify this temporary restraining order. And not only would they be modifying the behaviors that are allowed or not allowed, but they would also be changing the temporary restraining order from a temporary restraining order to a preliminary injunction. So that means for until the case goes to trial, at least, and probably through trial, that preliminary injunction would remain in effect. So there's been some talk here and there about the possibility that maybe the parties are all deciding whether to settle or whether to, mediate and basically have Bam dismiss the case against Ben. There's been some chit chat, some chatter about that. That could be perhaps going on. Most cases never make it to trial, so it wouldn't make it unusual in any way. I do think it would make it a little bit unexpected for Ben to settle. He doesn't seem like really the settling type, especially considering the people and the entities he's gone up against in the past. But I really don't know. I haven't looked that closely into the litigation from his past incidents. Speaking of which, the next segment on today's show is going to be looking into one of those lawsuits, and it's the one that was filed against Ben by McKamey, Russ McKame, the guy who has the haunted house, the so-called supposed haunted house. Whether that thing exists or not is still up for debate, I guess. But anyway, so I haven't really looked into his cases like that. But other than the fact that I would be surprised that he would want to settle a lawsuit, it would be completely normal and totally not unusual at all whatsoever for him to do that. So that's that. But meaning statistically it would not be unusual. It may perhaps be unexpected specifically because it's Ben. You follow? Okay. Anyway, so the two sides had come to this agreement that they were going to allow the TRO to become permanent. A lot of the stuff from the TRO changed, but a lot of it did stay the same. Stuff about not making certain types of contact, not going within a certain distance of the people, the defendants in this case, stuff like that. And so now I'm trying to think. In the temporary restraining order, did it just say defendants, the named defendants, or did that also apply to other people like family members, franchisees, stuff like that? Reading somebody else's comments. Someone made a parody. I think if Brian wants to settle and have this be done, Ben would want what's best for him. Okay, true. I mean, that's a great point. The TRO modification. Yeah, we're going to get into what the judge said. So, on the first level of this, the refusal of the judge to sign is not that big of a deal. He just kind of said, it's a little bit overbroad with respect to who exactly and what exactly and where exactly is supposed to be covered by this TRO. And he just really asked for a little bit more specificity. You can see here, docket number 82, not signed order modifying proposed. Okay, so not signed. I have this document, that's docket 82. Also have 83, which is where he includes his reasoning. Okay, so I'll pull those up now. Sorry, it's a lot of folders here. All right. So the first document is docket number 82. And this is just the actual proposed temporary restraining order. That was 4 pages long. As you can see, it says not signed. Now, yesterday we read exactly this document, but instead of it having the watermark that said not signed, instead it said proposed. Okay. To be clear, the proposed order also was not signed, but the judge, has now designated with this watermark not signed. Order modifying. Okay, so it's just the same. We read this yesterday during my live. I do have also a video clipped out if y'all want to go and check that out. Defendants agree, so this is like Ben and them, that they, their affiliates, employees, contractors, agents, representatives, anyone acting in concert with them directly or indirectly, in person, remotely, online. See, even this is just like so broad. Making, transmitting, soliciting, encouraging, facilitating. Death threats, bomb threats. Obviously, you can't do that. Or no one can, especially, Ben. So again, like I said, a lot of this stuff was like, okay, yeah, anyone would agree to that. That's pretty easy to agree to. Okay, I won't make a bomb threat. Got it. No problem. Entering, remaining, filming. Okay, so this part right here, this C, 2C, is this section 2? 1C. This is one of the parts that the judge is going to end up taking issue with in the next document we're going to read. The previous, whereas or whatever paragraph was like, Ben and his buddies and Ben and his associates and his this and his that and his this. The defendants will make sure that they don't enter, remain at, film, block access to or approach within a defined distance. Okay, I don't know what the defined distance is. Is it 25 yards? Is it 100, because it has to be at least 100 yards. Okay, entering, remaining at, filming, blocking access to, or approaching within a defined distance, staying at least 100 yards away. This right here, the judge took issue with. So let me put it won't let me highlight here. So I'm going to put a box. Okay. So entering, remaining at, filming, blocking access to, or approaching within, don't come closer than 100 yards, plaintiffs or their franchisees' stores, offices, warehouses, franchise locations, parking areas, employee homes, or franchisee homes at all, except through lawyers. And if you just kind of take yourself out of this as if you know about this case and you know about the plaintiffs and the defendants and all of that, and you take yourself out of even the fact that yes, Ben's side did technically agree to this. This is really crazy and overly broad. Like, defendants, that's Ben, Reckless Ben LLC, Victor Nguyen, and Brian Mansell, agree that their affiliates, their employees, their contractors, their agents, their representatives, so that could be your tax guy, anyone acting in concert with them, in person or directly or indirectly. This could apply to like half the freaking world. Remotely, does this count as somebody who commented on a comment section one time? Would that be an affiliate or anyone acting in concert with them? Oh, somebody's in the Discord. Indirectly, if somebody told something to Tyler Shaw ended up mentioning it to Ben. Oh, broke the restraining order. Like, this seems like who, what? Directly, indirectly, in person, remotely, or online are immediately restrained from entering, remaining at, filming, blocking access to, or approaching within 100 yards. Not only the franchise stores that Josh and Brandon and these actual defendants own. They're not saying like, oh, just our stores that we own. No. Any of them, any franchisee store of any and all brick and minifigs, including the parking areas. So like, in effect, that means Ben's tax guy cannot go into the parking lot of the strip mall where a bricks and minifigs is anywhere in the world. That obviously is insane and completely impossible to enforce. So we'll see what the judge says, but just keep in mind he does take issue with this. Also immediately restrained from impersonating, plaintiffs or franchisees or law enforcement or UPS drivers, all that. Okay, so it says not signed. So this is one of the documents which did hit the docket last night, perhaps early this morning. So I have seen a lot of people asking this question and similar questions to it. Thank you for the $5, Man Blossom 82. Isn't this the issue with the current order? It's the same problem as the order he signed 3 times already. Yes, but also it's a different degree. It's to a different degree. This is why. Why are we calling that other one the TRO? TRO. Temporary restraining order. Temporary restraining orders in the state of Utah are only supposed to last 14 days. There's a presumption that we have the freedom of speech. And under certain circumstances, the government does infringe upon our free speech. And it's supposed to be extremely limited. And one of the ways that they can absolutely take your free speech temporarily without due process is if somebody's life is in danger. Somebody's life is in danger, right? And so that's the extreme, token on one end of the spectrum. But it's very rare that speech is going to put someone's life in danger. I know there's a lot of propaganda that like makes us think that now, but like really it's very rare that happens. And if the truth can put someone's life in danger, like, I mean, what? So what? We just can't say the truth. That doesn't sound correct. Anyway, let me get off my soapbox. I love free speech. I love the First Amendment. I'm the type of person I like when people can say even offensive stuff. And if, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it. I have the right to bitch about it. I have the right to complain about it too. But in general, I really like free speech. And so when I'm saying this stuff, I don't want anybody to take anything I'm saying as if I'm like trying to defend this like crazy world we live in where they can just like snatch your speech from you for 2 weeks. I've been the victim of a false restraining order. It was a temporary one, and someone lied to the court and made all these false allegations about me that I was threatening her life, I was threatening her family. None of this was true, and I won a very large settlement from her, or not settlement, excuse me, we did not settle, a very large award in attorney's fees and costs because she didn't actually really have a genuine material dispute. She was just pissed off I was talking about my opinions on matters of public concern. So I just don't want anybody to hear these, me talking in these videos and I'm telling how the law works, and then y'all be like, I'm somehow rubber stamping this. I think that TRO should have never been granted. And if it was going to be granted like that, then they should have had to put up a bond. I don't know why they waived the bond. The issue is, and not to play devil's advocate, but I really do like to look at all sides. The judges, quite frankly, are not there when this stuff happens. It is a judge's duty to consider that it is a judge's duty to give the benefit of good faith, like the benefit of the assumption of good faith. Not only that, think about how many times you've heard of, maybe even in your own personal life, where somebody's getting stalked, followed, their ex-boyfriend showing up at their house, breaking into their car, whatever, and she tries to get a restraining order, or he, tries to get a restraining order, and a judge just says there's not enough proof. We're not going to give you a restraining order. Think of, the fact that people have died because judges didn't think it was serious and didn't grant that temporary restraining order. Now, at the end of the day, a restraining order is just a piece of paper. A criminal is gonna crime, that's part of it. But for many people, a temporary restraining order will actually make them not do the action, even temporarily. So because of all of that, we end up in this world where judges take, and a lot of them, they have the duty to, depending on the state law and stuff like that, but they will take what is said in complaints as if it is true on the first read. But then as the trial or the pre-trial and then eventually the trial goes on, the judge is allowed to take into consideration what he sees and observes as well. So far, you're a judge, you weren't there, put yourself in his position. You're there. You weren't there when these incidents happened. You do know they do have some crazy YouTubers out there or whatever. It's this nice little Mormon family. They have a little Lego store, and this guy who calls himself Reckless Ben. Judges have a duty not to go and do their own research. They cannot do ex parte research. They can only look at the four corners of the lawsuit. And so when the judge signed it the first time, that's the world, that's the universe he was in. But that isn't the same universe he's in today. He probably knows other stuff that we don't know as well. He's probably gotten ex parte communications. And this isn't me defending the judge. I think the judge should have required a bond for this exact reason. Because you don't know if they're for sure telling the truth. So you give them the benefit of the doubt so nobody gets killed or anything. You kind of put a lid on it real quick, but then in 14 days or less or fewer, then you're going to be able to work it out. Well, one of the times that he signed it again, I believe, and from what I understand, was because that 14-day period had expired. So the TRO was lifted, but again, in the interest of safety and whatever, again, I put it even in quotes because I know that the McNeffs are liars. And I know that Josh Johnson is a liar. I know that he has admitted to CoffeeZilla that his words when he was angry and pissed are not to be trusted and are unreliable. He seems angry and pissed all the time. So, when is he reliable and when is he to be trusted? According to his own words, pretty much never. So, I think the judge's going to figure out really soon. One side lies a lot. Anyway. Sorry, I got distracted by y'all's comments. So I disagree with the fact that the judge put that first restraining order out. And another thing that I really disagree with about the first restraining order from the judge is the takedown order. Not only restricting the prior speech, but also taking down videos that he doesn't know. You know, if anything, those needed to be preserved. Now, it doesn't look like Ben actually did take those videos down, and that's going to be another issue that's going to come up in this document. So, Man Blossom, thank you for the $5. In a sense, yes, right? Like, short answer to your question, yes. This is the same problem with the TRO, but the TRO was never meant to be permanent, was never meant to last a long time. It was only supposed to last up to 2 weeks and then be over with. But now, since the parties has stipulated to modifying the TRO, I don't know how that's going to affect like actually going to a hearing or anything like that, but the preliminary injunction would be in place for a very long time, until the end probably of the trial, at least until the end of discovery and pre-trial. So I think that has probably a big role to play. Those variables play a big part here. And I think that the judge now knows that all eyes are on him. At first, he may not have known how big this was even, or was going to get. I mean, this is not his only high profile case right now. He's right in the middle of all the preliminary hearings for the Charlie Kirk thing. So I can kind of imagine a universe where he just kind of signed it. And, you know, maybe because they were all Mormons or whatever, but maybe not. And now he's like, no, I'm not just going to just be signing this. Like, I need to actually know who it even applies to so I can enforce it. Like, how is he going to enforce it? If Ben comes in and says, oh, Your Honor, I didn't know that was a franchise store. I thought that was somebody else's store. Like, the judge is like, I already see problems upcoming with this. Let me show y'all that document with his reasoning. So the judge did not sign it, as we know. Why? It says, note from the court, modified TRO not signed by the court, as the following section is very broad. Very broad. The following section is very broad. We already read that section, right? The judge goes on. It is unknown if the defendants, that's Ben, Reckless Ben LLC, Brian Mansell, Victor, it is unknown whether they know who the employees and franchisees are. Girl, Your Honor, no offense to anybody involved. It's unclear if anybody knows who's a franchisee and who's the owner and who's corporate and who's a inventory specialist and who's a franchise salesperson versus the owner of this store. I don't think they even know who's an employee and who's an owner. It is unknown if the defendants know who the employees and franchisees even are and which locations it applies to, because it relates to entering, remaining at, filming, blocking access to, or approaching within a defined distance of at least 100 yards. Plaintiffs' or franchisees' stores, offices, warehouses, franchise locations, parking areas, employee homes, franchisee homes. The modified temporary restraining order also does not address the videos that were taken down. Ooh, I have news for Your Honor. The videos never got took down. But he is saying the modified temporary restraining order does not address the videos that were taken down. So some people have taken that to mean the judge doesn't know that the videos are still up. I mean, legally speaking, I don't think he's supposed to know, because he's not supposed to have gone look. If there was a violation, if there were to have been a violation of the temporary restraining order, then the parties were supposed to have informed him of that. And they have not, as far as the public docket is concerned. So the judge is writing it as if the videos have been taken down. Maybe he knows they weren't. However, let's say he even does know they weren't, but he's having to write this like this because technically he's not supposed to know that. Well, what's to stop BAM from them coming back around later and suing him under the TRO and saying he didn't follow the TRO because he left the videos up? So this could be the judge anticipating that and saying, y'all going to have to disclaim him from that. Y'all are going to have to say that you're going to have to say something about the taken down videos. You're either going to have to say right now you were okay with it and you're basically not going to be able to sue for it or do anything about it moving forward, or you're going to have to say he never took it down and we're going to have to still litigate under this other TRO. But this actually, to me, it could just be the judge just thought videos were taken down. They weren't. And oops, we're going to have to deal with that in court. 100 yards is like a football field. If you've ever been to like a football game, that's 100 yards. Does that mean he can't go to a Lego store? That's a great question. Is that an affiliate? They did say they're not affiliated with Lego, but all these words could be defined, could be litigated over, and have been. All these words have been litigated over. And I think actually the judge isn't wrong for calling this overly broad. And in fact, it actually protects Ben's rights way more than it helps BAM out at all, because they're going to have to limit this. It's too broad. It still gives BAM too much. It gives the bricks and minifigs people too much and takes away too many of Ben's rights. That is what the judge is saying. That is what the grounds upon which he is basing the denial. So on the one hand, I do understand, who is this freaking judge to tell Ben where he can, what he's saying he doesn't want to. He can enter the contract, who's this judge to tell Ben what contracts he can enter into as far as, agreements or whatever. But I'm with the judge, actually. I agree with his reasoning too. It is overly broad because this could be construed as nobody that Ben even knows can go to a parking lot where there's a brick and minifig store, even if they're not there for that. They might be getting their hair cut at the store next door or whatever, but they can't even go to the parking lot, or else Ben is going to have it held against him. That's too much. That's too far. And I agree with the judge. I do agree with him on that. Yeah, it lists all these places, but nothing about people. Exactly. That's another problem. The following people have not been served. Okay, hold on. Okay, so it has not been signed. Okay. And I actually agree with his reasoning. I'm going to read it again. Modified TRO not signed by court, as the following section is very broad. It is unknown if the defendants know who the employees or franchisees even are. And another thing too, not only that, but remember in the beginning, the whole caption of the case is who is suing who? Who is suing whom? Who's suing? Ammon McNeff, Brandon Best, Josh Johnson, I think Matt McNeff as well, Bricks and Minifigs or BAM Franchising, Baker Bricks doing business as Salem Baker Bricks. That's all who's suing, but who are they suing? Whom are they suing? The people getting sued. Ben, Reckless Ben, Victor Wynn, and Brian Mansell. And 10 to 15 Does. John and Jane Does. So you want to bind them to this preliminary injunction too, and they don't even know for sure who's getting sued, who's not, because they haven't even named their names. So not only do we not know who they're supposed to stay away from or where they're supposed to stay away from, we don't even know who's supposed to stay away from them. So it's actually impossible to even enforce. Because tomorrow BAM could say, oh, we're adding Sheldon. He broke the TRO because he was one of the Does. Oh, tomorrow we're adding Tyler. He broke the TRO. He was one of the Does. He should have known that. He should have known he shouldn't have been in a parking lot. That's too much. And it applies to too many people unknown. It applies to too many people unknown Too many places unknown. Too many things unknown. This company can't even keep it straight who owns what, when, and what month. Is it a corporate store or a franchisee store? They can't even keep it straight amongst their own books. So how is it supposed to be these defendants who don't even know they're defendants yet are supposed to know that? It is true. It is a good point from the judge. He ain't wrong. Thank you, Yvette, for becoming a new member. Thank you to Nick for the $2. Could Ben get in trouble for his Patreon post is another question that I have seen being asked. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And this is why. Both parties, and I'm just saying both parties, I know there's many parties, but plaintiff side and defendant side, through counsel, every single one of them represented by a lawyer who filed appearances in the case, all of them had lawyers come together and agree on this joint stipulation and submit it to a court under penalty of perjury. Everybody agreed to it. Now, the person who didn't agree to it, as we found out, and you can make your own decision on if you think it was a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it was actually a good thing. It protects Ben's rights. Even though Ben was willing to sign some of them away, it actually entangles a bunch of other people's rights too. So I do think it's okay to ask for a little bit more clarity, but y'all don't have to agree with that. That being said, all the parties in the case, in the ones who are named, all agreed that Ben was going to be talking about this now, publicly, explicitly, specifically on YouTube, Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, other social media, blogs. So for Ben to get in trouble, think about what would have to happen, Nick. First of all, like we just mentioned, with technically Ben already violated that restraining order for every time or every second that he allowed those videos that were ordered to be taken down. For every second he allowed them to stay up, he was violating the temporary restraining order. He was, technically. But like we mentioned, or like I mentioned earlier, nobody reported that to the judge technically in court. So there's nothing the judge can do. The way that Ben would get in trouble is somebody to report him for posting that. So let's say that would happen. Who has grounds to report him for posting that? It's not a criminal restraining order. If y'all don't know, Ben posted on his Patreon yesterday a video of him sitting on what appears to be a cell phone or radio tower, like a high up tower with a blinking light, and he's got a drone zooming around him. It looks kind of like green screen, but he does really appear to be sitting on one of those radio tower things. He said basically he got his free speech rights back. He kind of did, unfortunately, count the chickens a little bit before they hatched. But he said he got his free speech back, and he's going to be putting out part 3 of the series very soon. He said it wasn't actually ready, though. The video had started out around 20 minutes, and now it's up to like 40 minutes. And he said it's just not ready yet, and it's going to be a few more days or something. And he said that under the assumption, and probably his lawyers told him, the judge would sign off on the temporary restraining order modification, which the judge did not do. However, the temporary restraining order itself, technically, yes, does still stand. So what BAM would have to do, or one of the parties here, what they would actually have to do is tell the judge. He broke the restraining order. He made a video on shoot. Hold on. God dang it. He made a video on Patreon. He was talking about us. Well, then the judge is going to say, wait, didn't you just agree that he could do that though? Like, I mean, I know I didn't agree to it. So yeah, technically, like, I guess he broke it, but then why did you waste my time saying that it was okay for him to talk then if you're really not okay with it? Like, you agreed to it. So it would kind of create like an issue where Bricks and Minifigs would basically have to make themselves look like they didn't enter into that contract in good faith. I don't think it would make them look great. And it, their hands are kind of tied because they've already agreed to let him talk, essentially. That's my opinion. Thank you, GRB, for the $5. Have you seen Eamon McNeff's LinkedIn profile under the volunteering section? He's pretty high up there, too, not just Josh. No, I did not see that. Thank you for the $5. Thank you, Man Blossom82, for the $2 super chat. Thank you for pointing out the performance part. Oh, permanent. Sorry. I need to move this screen closer to me. Permanence part. Yes. That's one of the differences, I think. Isn't it a cell tower? I think it's real. And a clue? Could be. Do you think the agreement with the lawyers was another promise on God? I'll give the Legos, but I don't know. I do not know. At all. Let's go look at the website and see if anything's been filed. I mean, I do think it is going to take... I mean, it's stuff like in the law, it just takes time. Everything takes forever. Everybody's got to run the copies by each other. This person's got to approve. That person's got to approve. I'm just searching for, see if anything else has been filed. Maybe another proposal. Shout out to my brother, Tough Stino, in the chat. That brick by brick shirt I was wearing the other day was actually his merch. Salute to my sister cousin out here doing the Lord's work. Amen. Okay, so here's the... No, nothing else. Nothing else has been filed here. Now, I did read somewhere yesterday that there was a filing made in, actually filings made in both of the other two cases, but the Provo City one had something to do with discovery, I believe. Let me look that up. Oh. Oh, shoot. I want a district. Oh, no, there went 20 cents down the drain. I can't believe they charge you 20 cents to search. These money grabbers. Okay, wait. Okay, we have some documents here. Request for discovery, appearance of counsel, an answer to request for discovery. Okay, all of this was from yesterday, so let me buy these two. Let me purchase the request for discovery. That's $1. Okay, let me download these so I don't have to keep paying $1 to buy them. Hold on. 7-page document. This is docket number, oh shoot, I done lost my spot. Let me see. 20. Docket number 20. This is in the Provo, City of Provo City versus, my hard drive came out. I need a new cord for my hard drive. Okay, hold on. I gotta go around the front of my computer desk. Hold on. Computer desk, can you tell me I'm a millennial? Okay. Oh, he's a missionary supervisor? Oh, God. Feel bad for those kids. Okay, let me, save this. Document 20. Request for discovery. Okay, and that's in the Provo criminal case. I'm just downloading it now, so I have it. I don't have to keep paying $1. Okay, there's that one. And I'm going to get 24 as well, which is an answer. Docket 24. These are some new documents that were filed in the Provo City of Provo case against Reckless Ben. We just now looked at the reason why the judge declined to modify the TRO, the temporary restraining order, into a permanent, preliminary injunction. I'm just putting stuff where it goes, so I can ever find it again in the future. Okay. All right. So I have these two documents now. Let me redact. It. Here is the request. The defendant, that's Ben, pursuant to Rule 16 and the due process clauses of the Utah and United States Constitutions, requests that copies of the following materials be provided to defense counsel. Okay, so Ben, pursuant to his rights, is asking for the following stuff from the prosecutors or the police or anybody on their side. Number one, any evidence which tends to negate the guilt of defendant. Any evidence y'all have that negates his guilt, this is called exculpatory evidence. You've probably heard that word before. If you know anything about the Rust trial, remember Alec Baldwin was on trial for murder or whatever it was, homicide, manslaughter, whatever it was. He was an actor who pew-pewed somebody on a set. The whole case got dismissed on like the second day of trial or something because of this type of evidence. It's called exculpatory evidence. It's evidence which would tend to negate the guilt of the defendant, make them less likely to be guilty, or to negate the guilt. Okay, exculpatory or Brady evidence. You'll hear it called Brady. Brady versus Maryland is the Supreme Court case upon which that is based. If they have something, the prosecution has something in their possession that would tend to make it that you didn't do that crime, that you didn't do what they're accusing you of doing. One of the landmark cases involved a confession. Somebody else had confessed to the crime, but the prosecutors just didn't bother telling the defendant that, and the defendant got convicted of murder. But would he have gotten convicted of murder if the jury had known that somebody else confessed? And so this is Brady material. It could be fingerprints. It's been a little bit adjudicated over the years. Brady versus Maryland was maybe 50, 70 years ago, something. Okay. This is criminal. Yodley says, is this a request for his criminal or civil case? This is for his criminal case in Provo. This is, hold on, I'll tell you which crimes he's alleged of doing. It was, both misdemeanors. Misdemeanor stalking and targeted residential picketing. Targeted residential picketing. No. That's state of Utah. Oh my God. Hold on. Got the wrong one here. Provo. I'm on my web here. Okay. Provo is disorderly conduct. These are both misdemeanors as well. Judge Stephen Schreiner Disorderly conduct and criminal trespass after having been given notice. So that's the crimes he's facing here. Yeah, Sheldon Norcross. Oh, shout out to Sheldon. Sheldon in the chat. Okay, so yeah. I had him backwards. I was on the wrong spot. On my web, this thing is looking like a, I can't even say it. They'll put me in a home. Okay, listen. All right. Okay, so disorderly conduct and criminal trespass after being given notice to leave, or, whatever, thing like that. Okay, so this is what Ben's lawyers, they filed an appearance and then immediately were like, okay, give us discovery. Any evidence which tends to negate the guilt of the defendant, mitigate the guilt of the defendant, or mitigate the degree of the offense that has been discovered by any member of the agencies involved in the investigation or prosecution of the above entitled case. Yep, see Brady versus Maryland, 1963. Wow, I was pretty good with how old that case was. Okay, anyway. All right, what else? What else has been asking for from the Provo City prosecutors? A list of all law enforcement. Number 2, any evidence that has been discovered by any member of the agencies involved in the investigation or prosecution of this case that tends to inculpate the defendant. So not only exculpatory evidence, which is stuff that would negate his guilt, but also anything that they found that would make it seem like he is actually guilty. What is the evidence you're going to be relying on to prove he did this stuff? Because we have a right to it. Number 3, a list of all law enforcement and or civilian personnel who responded or investigated the above entitled matter. Do you know who immediately comes to my mind? See if y'all can read my mind. Who am I thinking of right now? Or civilian personnel. Who am I thinking of? Yes, if you guess Ryan and Wendy Rachel Wells. Yeah, I want to know, are they going to make it on that list? Is the Deagle going to make it on the list? Yep, y'all know. We know. Tonga, no, I wasn't thinking of Tonga because he is going to be on the list. We already know that. I was thinking of civilian. Wendy, y'all know. Give us the names. Okay. Because would that count? I mean, they might say no because she didn't respond to it because that's her house. She was already there. But the Airbnb owners did say that, or the cops said that the Airbnb homeowners did provide them with some information. Isn't that being part of the investigation? I'll let the lawyers fight it out in court. Number 4 thing that Ben and his lawyer asked for, if applicable, list all the medical personnel involved in the above entitled matter, including names, telephone numbers, addresses. I don't know if that's going to be relevant. That's, it says if applicable or applicable. All police or investigative reports, follow-up investigation reports, daily logs, surveillance logs, property records, chronology notes, and any other written materials, including any handwritten notes, whether or not those notes have formed the basis for a typed report, in the possession of any individual or agency involved in the prosecution of this case. That alone is going to be so many thousands of dollars of city employee time to gather all of that up. Thousands of dollars. All police investigative reports, that should be pretty easy to get. Follow-up investigation reports, daily logs, surveillance logs. Okay, well, now we're talking a terabyte. Property reports, chronology notes, any timelines they put together, any handwritten notes, in the possession of any individual or agency involved in the prosecution of this case. That brings in the cops. That brings in the other cops across state lines. I don't know if they're going to have to get that stuff or not. Number 6, all field interview cards used to identify any individuals involved in the above captioned matter. Well, I mean, those were taken from screenshots from phones. I mean, they were taking pictures of people's licenses on their phones. So I hope that they are going to include all the phone pictures they took on their camera rolls, these cops. Number 7, all information, notices, or written memoranda disseminated during law enforcement roll calls or personally relayed between law enforcement offices. The messages between law enforcement offices. So Sandy, they are going to have to produce their communications with Sandy Police Department. They talk to the LAPD. They're going to have to produce their communications with the LAPD. That's what this says. All information, notices, written memoranda. So every time they called, every time they texted, every time they emailed, every time they sent memos with any other police department, or regarding any surveillance, search warrant executions, the arrest, and any other matter pertaining to the investigation of this case. Any training certificates or specialized certifications received by any law enforcement officer involved in the above captioned matter, any reports made by non-governmental agencies involved in the investigation of this case, including reports made by security personnel or any other agencies involved, and including any reports made by the alleged victim. Well, that would be Joshua Johnson, or in this case, this is Ammon. I think this relates to the CEO. This relates to the Bricks and Minifigs office incident. I don't know if Sheldon's still in here. He might be able to clarify on that. Because the Utah case, Utah County, state of Utah against Ben, is the one having to do with American Fork. And this Provo one, I do believe, is the one having to do with when Ben went to the office, the Bricks and Minifigs office, which he was invited to do. So Provo, Sheldon, if you don't mind, if you know, Provo versus Ben has to do with going to the office, the Bricks and Minifigs office, not Josh Johnson stuff, right? Oh, you're on an ad. Okay. Okay. A list of all witnesses that the state intends to call for trial in the above entitled matter, their names, addresses, telephone numbers, and their adult and juvenile criminal records. Ooh. He wants the criminal records of all the witnesses in the case. That means Brandon Best better not sit up there and try and testify. That means Josh Johnson better not sit up there and try and testify, or Ammon, or any of them. If they got a criminal record, it's coming out. If they don't, they should be fine. My criminal and juvenile record would include exactly nothing. Maybe a couple speeding tickets or something. Maybe an inspection sticker ticket. Is that on your criminal record? Is that a crime? All moving violations. I'll say that. Any offers of leniency or a plea or any plea bargain agreements or any other form of remuneration. Remuneration. Is that spelled right? Remuneration? Remunerate? Anyway, okay. The content of any statement made by any member of a governmental entity to the defendant, that's Ben, or any witness, victim, or suspect, or anyone in the defendant's presence, which was made in order to encourage the defendant to cooperate with a governmental entity, or which might reasonably be expected to have the effect of encouraging the defendant to cooperate or provide a statement to a governmental entity. Oh, I could think of some stuff that actually might apply to. A copy of the booking sheet, booking photograph, and rap sheet, aka criminal record of the defendant, if any written or recorded statements of the defendant, or any witness interviewed during the investigation or prosecution of this case, as well as transcripts or reports about those statements. Any video or audio recordings, as well as transcripts of those recordings prepared in conjunction with the prosecution of this case. Any statement of any person which was shown, read, played, or paraphrased to defendant or any witness, alleged victim, or suspect during any interview, interrogation, visit, and or phone conversation. Copies of all recordings, transcripts of all 911 calls pertaining to this case. It's going to take them a while to put this discovery together. Identify by name, address, telephone number, and badge number the 911 operators and dispatch officers who responded to the 911 calls, and produce any police reports, officer notes, or documentation pertaining thereto. Copies of all recordings and all transcripts and all of any communications, including dispatch calls from law enforcement, fire department, or any other civilian agency pertaining to the above titled case. Every time I read one of these categories, I'm like, oh, that's going in a YouTube video. These 911 calls, oh my. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Any statements made by defendant, that would be Ben, to any of the state's witnesses, and the dates, times, places, and persons when such statements were made. Specify the date, time, and substance of any and all further contact between any investigating officer and the defendant. Oh my gosh. Specify the date, time, and substance of any and all further contact between any investigating officer and Ben and any co-defendant or witness. Oh, this is just going to be a lot of stuff to gather up. Duplicates of all photographs, contact sheets from the photographs, digital photographs, drawings. Yes, the digital photographs. Yes, I want the camera rolls because those cops were out there clicking on their phones, at least in American Fork. But this looks like the same. It's like a form discovery request. Like pretty much everybody asks for this same stuff. This is the criminal case, though. One of the two. Duplicates of all photographs, contact sheets from the photographs, digital photographs, drawings, diagrams, videotapes. In possession of any law enforcement or governmental agency, regardless of whether or not those images were intended to be used by the prosecution at the time of trial. So they want all them cops' pictures on their camera roll. Fully described by make, model, color, dimension, and service history, any camera, digital camera, or video camera used in the creation of items referenced in paragraph 22. That's this one up here. Identify all clothing, including undergarments of the defendant that were booked into evidence in the case. They probably don't have any of that. Any physical evidence taken from the defendant, that's going to probably be like signs or whatever. But again, this is not American Fork. This is Provo. Any co-defendant or witness, alleged crime, scene. Okay, so for example, that would include something like if, the flag were to have been taken. But again, that was a different case. For each piece of physical evidence identified in paragraph 25, please identify the custodian of the evidence, any reports or notes describing the evidence, each person to whom any of the evidence was submitted for analysis, etc. Any and all documents regarding the chain of custody of any physical evidence, including a description of the method of packaging and handling of the evidence. Any and all documentation regarding consent. Okay, this will be a big one in the Utah County case. Any and all documentation regarding consent from any person to secure any physical evidence. So like, for example, when they're going to be trying to use, somebody's confession on the scene, or, the time that the one kid, Benjamin Adams, like let the cops see his phone, they would have to document that he had consented to doing that. And the documentation was body cam and, the written note from the officer. Now, that is documentation, but is it credible? Well, not if this officer has been shown to not be credible in his documentation. The thing about what we're talking about right now, this is the Provo case, and we don't have quite as much information about the Provo case as we do about the American Fork case. The Provo case, from what I understand, is the one where they went up to the Bricks and Minifigs office. The American Fork one, went on for days. That was the one that went on from, March 8th to March 11th. So it's like they have days of evidence there. So I am using, as we're going through this, I'm using some examples from the Utah case. I'm like, okay, yeah, that, the Utah County American Fork case. And I'm like, oh, they would be able to use this or that. But it's just because we don't really have as much information about how it all went down in the Provo case as we have, especially not as much as we have in the Utah one. So I'm using those as examples, just as little for example, but just I do keep reiterating that it's not this particular case we're reading this document for. Okay, they're also asking for officers' notes, police reports, other documentation pertaining to any requests for lab analysis or any other scientific testing. I don't know if that'll apply here, but they probably just have, they just ask for it. Any tests, test results, chemical analysis, or any other scientific evidence and attendant reports pertaining to this case in the possession of law enforcement So this applies to stuff law enforcement has too. It's not just if the prosecutors have it, it's if the cops have it too, and they have to turn it over. That's all necessary. The defendant further requests that the state produce at trial the preparer of any scientific or lab report and any chain of custody witnesses for the purposes of cross-examination. The defendant requests notice of any other crimes, wrongs, or acts the prosecutor intends to use in this case, and a list of exhibits and names and addresses of the witnesses the prosecutor intends to use to introduce evidence of other crimes, wrongs, or acts. Finally, the prosecutor shall make all disclosures as soon as practicable following the filing of charges and before the defendant is required to plead. The prosecutor has a continuing duty to make disclosures, and that was submitted yesterday by Jeremy Delicino. And that's Ben's lawyer. So, yeah, y'all better get to work over there gathering up that evidence. But then they already filed an answer. Discovery has already been provided. Okay, hold on. Let me redact Ben's address off the front page of this public document. I'm just going to redact that address too. Okay. Let me just scroll through here and make sure. Okay. So this was filed yesterday as well. I guess they already have started. It looks like the prosecutors already have begun to provide some of that stuff to Ben or maybe his lawyers. It says answer for request for discovery. I think it's supposed to be answer to request, but whatever. Who's really keeping track? In accordance with Utah Rule of Criminal Procedure 16, the undersigned certifies that the following items of discovery were provided to Ben or his lawyer in the above captioned case, and they have listed 8 things. Number 1, this has been already provided. Criminal history. Number 2, information provo, whatever that means. Number 3, lineup.pdf, whatever that means. Number 4, police report. Number 5, search warrant. Number 6, search warrant. Number 7 and 8 were both witness statements. Any additional material or information that has not been provided may be inspected, tested, or copied upon request at any reasonable time and place. Discovery is provided in compliance with the law. These materials may also include additional evidence in the prosecutor's file. Despite voluntary inclusion of some evidence that the prosecution is not required to disclose, no representation is made regarding the existence or non-existence of additional evidence. The prosecution objects to any other evidence requested but not provided. Any other item of evidence will be made available if the court determines on good cause shown that such evidence should be made available. So basically now it looks like the prosecutor is basically saying, if it ain't in what we already gave you, we ain't sending it. If you must have it, maybe we might let you come over here to our office and make a photocopy, maybe if we feel like it. But anything else you really want from us, you're going to have to request it specifically, and you're going to have to subpoena through the judge. And we're going to have to go to trial and argue about it, pre-trial and argue about it, because any other item of evidence will be made available if the court determines on good cause shown that such evidence should be made available to the defendant. So they gave their little 8 things, and they said that's that. The materials provided, here's their little warning. They got to get their little warning in. Restriction on use and further dissemination. You know what further dissemination means? Sharing it on YouTube. Disseminate means to spread it out to the world. The materials provided during the course of this case may contain sensitive information. Dissemination is limited by the Utah Victims' Rights Act. Okay. The Crime Victims Act. By accepting these materials, the recipient agrees to prevent improper or unlawful use of these materials to harass, abuse, or invade the privacy of any witness, any victim, or any other person associated with the case. The recipient also agrees not to disseminate videotaped interviews. We're not going to get to see them. Photographs or psychological or medical reports. That makes sense. I don't think you should be sharing people's psychological or medical reports, but what do you mean videotaped interviews? I want to see them. This is my thing. If you're going to be calling the cops and getting in the public servants involved and you're going to be getting the public servant prosecutors involved, then the public should get to see what you're in there bitching about. That's my opinion. The confidentiality rules related to the discovery process and Utah Governmental Records Access Management Act and this office's contractual obligations with the Bureau of Criminal Identification. The prosecution is releasing to you the defendant's criminal record and driving record as found in our files, which are classified as private and protected. This information is strictly for the lawyer to use related to this particular criminal case in which it has been provided. Release of this information for any other purpose is a violation of the law and you may be subject to liability. Driver's license and criminal history records should be destroyed, either shredded or burned at the close of the case. This office does not disseminate criminal histories for any individual except upon written request. Okay, so what did they hand over? Criminal history, information from Provo, lineup, police report, search warrant, witness statement. Okay, let me see what I have in here. Is this says indictment. I have the indictment info sheet. Disorderly conduct. This comes from December 10th, by the way. This is December 10th, 2025. He supposedly refused to comply with a lawful order of the police to move from a public place or an official meeting, or knowingly created a hazardous or physically offensive condition by any act that serves no legitimate purpose, intending to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, alarm, recklessly create a risk of public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm. And he supposedly engaged in fighting or in violent, tumultuous, or threatening behavior, or made unreasonable noises. What? In a public place or official meeting, or made unreasonable noises in a private place, which can be heard in a public place, or obstruct vehicular. Which one of these did he do? Or pedestrian traffic in a public place, official meeting. The violation occurred after the actor had been asked to cease. I still don't know what he did. Then there's criminal trespass, class 2 misdemeanor, in violation of the law. December 10th again. Aircraft? Knowing that entry or presence, or the unmanned aircraft's entry or presence, oh, okay, I guess this is how the law is written, was unlawful, entered or remained on property caused by an unmanned aircraft to unlawfully, this is crazy. No, the way that it's written, knowing that entry or presence, or the unmanned aircraft's entry or presence was unlawful, he entered or remained on property, or he caused an unmanned aircraft to unlawfully enter or remain over property as to which notice against entering was given by personal communication to the actor, that would be Ben in this case, by the owner or someone with apparent authority to act for the owner. Fencing or other enclosure, obviously designed to exclude intruders. Oh, this must have been when he went posting of signs reasonably likely to come to the attention of intruders. And the information is based on evidence obtained from Medina Dore, D-O-R-E, Medina D-O-R-E, that's the witness here, Provo Police Department. No, I guess I just don't know exactly really what he did in Provo. I thought that it was from going to the bricks and the minifig store. Let me see what else I have. It was filed in April. I have a public safety assessment for this case for Ben. Let me just make sure it's redacted. Targeted residential picketing. This is the wrong case. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did in this case. It says disorderly conduct and criminal trespass. Corporate headquarters is in Provo. That's what I thought this was based on. Okay, hold on. Oops. I want to see if anything has been filed else. Let me do my 20-cent search. Brandon does not live in Provo. He's somewhere in like Sandy County, they were saying. I want to see if they've, tried to submit another one of those temporary restraining order modifications again. And I also want to read the Russ McKame Manor lawsuit today as well. No, nothing new there. Yeah, the residential picketing is not is the Utah County one. Okay. So, if something gets filed, we will break from the McKamey Manor lawsuit and we will detour back over into breaking court news, court update filings. However, this ain't Ben's only rodeo going on. Now, I've been telling y'all for several weeks, you have got to get yourself over to Reckless Ben's channel and watch the entire McKamey Manor investigation series. It is some of the best journalism, YouTube journalism, entertainment. I mean, it hits tens in a lot of categories. And I do think it really gives you a good example into kind of like how Ben's strategies and his storytelling methods work and operate. But basically, there's this haunted house. Now, this haunted house is very controversial. I'm going to call it a haunted house, but the gag is nobody ever really makes it inside the haunted house. It's basically just like torture to get you to tap out. Now, when I first heard about this supposed haunted house, there was no safe word. There was no way to get out of it. You had to sign agreeing that you agreed to die if you needed to die or whatever. So it was like basically an unenforceable contract. But over the years, the contract has been modified as well. But it's still pretty horrendous, and it's so horrendous that I'm not even able to go to like the website and show it to y'all. It's really bad. But Ben investigated it. He kind of went through the so-called haunted house tour or whatever. And the big conclusion or the big finding at the end of the series. I don't really want to spoil it, but basically we'll say it this way. The haunted house was not quite what it was advertised as, and it was not quite what it appeared to be. And come to find out, the guy that runs the haunted house, Russ McKame, he's been running it for a long time, since like 2017 or something like that, and he is maybe like not a great guy. I'll just say that. He's been accused of all kinds of things, but we'll just say maybe he's not a great guy. I've never met him, but he does seem like somebody I would never want to be around. I can say that. And I rebuke as well. So Ben kind of like exposes this guy and kind of makes him look stupid and really just outsmarts him and he just bests this guy in every single way. So months and months go by. That was like last year. And there's also other stuff too, like the guy live streams the whole torture tour, and I think it's like rich perverts or something that ask for like special stuff, like certain things, and then they like pay or something. That's just my opinion. He didn't say that in his videos, but I just have this suspicion. So months go by or whatever, but then Ben starts kind of getting more and more views on. So first of all, Ben puts out the McKamey Manor series, and video by video, they get removed. I don't even think the whole series still to this day is on YouTube. I think you have to go to his Patreon to see it all. But then he went ahead and put the videos back up on YouTube again, like re-uploaded them. And now they're like blowing up. Well, no. This guy done sued right around the same time everything's going on with Ben about to go to Utah and all that. This Russ McKame guy apparently sued, and I got my hands on the lawsuit. Thank you to the person who sent this to me. It also was posted on Reddit. So it was filed in March, 3 months ago, a little bit more than 3 months ago. And it's the haunted house guy suing Ben. So let's see what this lawsuit is all about, shall we? Plaintiff Russ McKame is an individual in Tennessee. Ben lives in LA. He availed himself into Tennessee. A lawyer supposedly wrote this, but it's like very, very unsophisticated. I will just say that. That is something that I noticed. Like the parties is just supposed to have a statement of like, where do you live? And they put this whole jurisdictional statement in the parties when the jurisdictional statement is supposed to go to the jurisdiction. But anyway, he's like, Ben basically consented to the laws of Tennessee because he came to Tennessee to participate in the house tour, the haunted house tour. He executed the contract in Tennessee. As a result of signing the contract, Ben was able to participate in the activities in Tennessee in 2023. So this all happened in 2023, and he is suing for it now in 2026. The court has jurisdiction. Okay, so here's the facts. All right, here's the facts as Russ McKame is describing them. Since 2017, Russ McKame has operated a world-famous immersive theater experience. That is one way to put a torture tour. A world-famous immersive theater experience in the horror genre on his private property in Tennessee, which he calls McKamey Manor. Okay, it's a world-famous immersive theater experience in the horror genre. Okay. Going through McKamey Manor is referred to as taking a tour. Okay, they call it an immersive theater experience, but you notice they don't call it a haunted house or a house at all. Mr. McKamey produced a video of most tours to post online for fans of McKamey Manor to view. Hundreds of people from all over the world, so not thousands, hundreds, have traveled to McKamey Manor to experience a tour. McKamey Manor is generally designed for participants to take a tour one at a time. Eligibility is determined through a screening process for every participant. Every McKamey Manor participant selected for a tour after the initial screening process, must sign and enter the McKamey Manor contract with Russ McKamey prior to admission. The contract is 18 pages long. I think it used to be like 100. The contract consists of 5 agreements, including a personal release form, a non-disclosure agreement, a non-disparagement agreement, McKamey Manor mandatory waiver, release and indemnity agreement, and a standalone contract. In 2023, Reckless Ben, began communicating with Russ McKamey about Ben going through the haunted house to do the tour. Unbeknownst to Russ McKamey, Reckless Ben did not wish to take a McKamey Manor tour in good faith. He actually intended to obtain what he thought would be sufficient information to shut down McKamey Manor. He did want to shut it down. Defendant, that's Ben, submitted certain information requested by Russ McKamey as part of the screening process, including but not limited to a letter from Ben's doctor stating that Ben had medical clearance to participate in extreme physical activities and a photo of his passport. And he does do extreme physical activities. Upon completion of the screening process, defendant was approved to take a tour. Oh, what the hell? What happened here? Hold on. The haunted house demons ate up my... it's like my hard drive keeps ejecting, I think. I guess I gotta get a new one. Okay, hold on. Now my file got corrupted. Okay, I'm gonna just take it out again. Hold on. Okay. Okay. It became uncorrupted. Probably because I rebuked. Okay. Hundreds of people all over the world, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So Ben submitted like his medical, physical or whatever, and he submitted his passport. And upon completion of the screening process, defendant was approved to take a tour. In May 2023, Ben traveled to Tennessee for the purpose of taking the tour. On May 27th, 2023, defendant Ben fully executed Mr. McKamey's contract prior to taking the tour. After executing the contract, Mr. McKamey permitted Ben to take the tour. At issue in this case are defendant's violations of the contract's non-disclosure agreement and the non-disparagement agreement. Okay, here's what comes to my mind right now. Just like came to my mind right now. We already know Ben does to other people what they do to him. Like he uses people's like tricks against them. So what if Ben reverse sues for copyright for contract, breach of contract? Because if you make it through the house, you're supposed to win. If you make it through the tour, you're supposed to win $20,000. So what if Ben countersues for $20,000? Yeah, I know. Ben did like also change the contract. Like he prints the contract out and he changed the amount. Like if you breach this contract, you owe Russ McKamey $50,000. He crossed out 50,000 or backspace that and he put $1. And then at the beginning of his video, he mails $1 to Russ McKamey because he's like, I'm finna break this NDA. Okay, at issue in this case, and this is Russ suing Ben, are the defendant's violations of the contract's non-disclosure agreement, so the NDA, and the non-disparagement agreement. So he went out and disparaged Russ after signing the contract, according to this lawsuit. The non-disclosure agreement of the contract essentially prohibits Ben from disclosing any confidential information, which is defined as any data or information that is deemed proprietary to Mr. McKamey, whenever or however disclosed. So this is pretty broad because that means when Ben went and got stuff from outside, like it wasn't like he went to the haunted house and learned information from there looking at it. He got this information from someone else, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. Confidential information is any other information that should reasonably be recognized as confidential. The contract further states that confidential information doesn't have to be novel, unique, patentable, copyrightable, or constitute a trade secret in order to be designated confidential information. Explicit examples of confidential information under the contract include, but are not limited to, strategies, design, process, and procedure. Any concepts, reports, data, knowledge, works in progress, designs, development tools, props, trade secrets, trademarks, copyrights. At some point after signing the contract, defendant, that's Ben, obtained confidential information, including but not limited to a hard drive. Okay, so put a 1 in the chat if you're familiar with the hard drive. The cool thing that Ben was able to do, though, he did a lot of cool stuff in that series. It's really such a good series. You really should watch it. But if you haven't, one of the things that he does that is so cool in this series is he is able to track down this hard drive. And it was like kind of like a mysterious legend, this hard drive. It was legendary. And apparently it was a bunch of stuff, like some stuff that really wasn't meant to be seen by the public, of Russ McKamey videoing people going through these tours, so-called supposed tours. And so Ben was made aware during the making of his documentary or whatever that a big budget documentary streaming company was working, like we'll just say Netflix. I don't know if it was Netflix, might have been something else, but like, basically something big like that. They were working on a documentary as well on McKamey Manor and Russ McKamey. And they wanted to get their hands on this hard drive, but they couldn't. And the cool thing that Ben was able to do is get this hard drive. And he did show some stuff on his video from... He did show this on his video, some of the footage from the hard drive, and he showed himself getting the hard drive and all that. Well, this is crazy because this is basically, I think it looks like Russ McKamey admitting, oh yeah, that hard drive's real and Ben has it. It kind of adds credibility to Ben's series. Okay, they have a footnote. After his tour, Ben also repeatedly supposedly trespassed onto the property, which required the cops or the sheriff's department to respond and escort Ben off the property multiple times. As of the time of this filing, his video about it had been viewed 2.7 million times. Okay, so in October 2023, defendant posted a video to his aptly named Reckless Ben YouTube channel entitled I Stole McKamey Manor's Secret Footage. I do not think he should put I stole in his titles, but who asks me? In this video, the defendant clearly stated his plan. Find hard drive, release secret footage, take down McKamey Manor. In this video, defendant states, if I go and find this hard drive and then leak all of Russ's secrets to the world, yeah, that's exactly what my lawyers would not want me to do. Defendant then stated, that's Ben, so fast forward to now. There's currently a hard drive being shipped to my house, but it's not just any hard drive. It's the hard drive that all of the big budget documentaries were competing to get, but none of them were able to get their hands on. Defendant then films himself opening the package containing the hard drive of McKamey's confidential information. There it is. Aww. Defendant states, I know every single person watching right now wants proof that this is the actual hard drive. Defendant, that's Ben, then superimposes a short clip of footage from the hard drive containing the confidential information, followed by a black screen stating, to be continued. Now, a big part of the series is Ben kind of exposing just how, low-life scavenger this Russ McKame guy really is. And one of the things that he keeps running into while he's investigating this thing is he will find people who went through the haunted house and maybe even their videos are up on YouTube or whatever, but then he'll try to talk to him and they'll be like, I signed an NDA and I can't talk, and Russ will sue me for $50,000 and I don't have $50,000, so I'm not going to be able to talk. And so it's interesting that is the reason why many people were afraid to talk, on top of the fact that people say that they were being harmed in those videos and actually tortured and actually really hurt and abused, and that's not what they signed up for, and they were getting really beaten up, seriously beaten up, and there's just nothing they could do about it because Russ would be like, well, you signed a contract agreeing to it. So a lot of people were scared to speak out because of these NDAs. And then here comes Russ McKame actually using he signed an NDA against Ben in this crazy way. Defendant's next video, which has now been seen over 625,000 times. I bet you it's been more than that now. Let me go see how many views that video has now. Because this all happened before Reckless Ben. This was filed before Reckless Ben actually went viral on this Lego stuff. Let me see. I stole McKamey Manor's secret footage. 832,000 now. I shut down McKamey Manor. Is that the one? Defendant's next video was posted on December 3rd, 2023, which picks up where the video in October had left off, stating, I got a hold of the never-before-seen McKamey Manor footage. This footage shows what really goes on inside the world's scariest haunted house. It's the stuff that the owner doesn't want anyone to see. This is what Ben said about McKamey Manor. Now that we have all of the raw footage of what really happens here, we're going to work with law enforcement to shut this place down. The moment I opened the raw footage, I understood what everyone was warning me about. Yeah, now I understand. But screw it. I'm going to show you guys anyways. I'm doing my best Ben intonation. Defendant then displays the macro contents of the hard drive containing confidential information, 2014, 15, 16, 17. Oh my God, I bet Russ McKame loses sleep at night that Ben has this in his possession, this hard drive. He probably don't even actually know what's on it. Okay, so then defendant states, so let's start all the way back at the beginning. The footage starts with a full walkthrough of McKamey Manor, and you get to see the movie magic behind all of Russ's videos, Russ McKamey's videos. On one hand, you have people freaking out because of scary saw, which is actually just plastic, or these scary snakes, which are also just plastic, or this contraption, which is literally just a chair. The only other part of the haunted house in this is this water tank, these cages, and a bunch of Halloween props just taking up space in the backyard. To be honest, when I watched this footage, I didn't see the scariest haunted house in the world. I barely even see a haunted house at all. Ben then later states, quote, from this point on, this is the reason no one's released this hard drive yet. The video then shows defendant interviewing an individual named Justin Yaris, giving this guy a copy of the hard drive. He was recently found liable. This is interesting to me. I don't know how to say this guy's name. Is it Yaris? But this guy, look, recently found liable to Mr. McKamey by United States District Judge Alita Trauger for invasion of privacy. So he sued somebody for invasion of privacy and violation of the Stored Communications Act. Russ McKame sued and apparently won in district court because he supposedly, quote, hacked into Mr. McKamey's email account. After receiving the hard drive from Ben, this guy also posted several videos taken from the hard drives to his YouTube channel. Oh, I want to know what the YouTube channel is. McKamey versus Yaris. Oh my gosh. Wait, now I kind of want to read this lawsuit because it's already over. Hold on, let me see. He filed it in April 2024. It was a Hulu doc. It says controversial. Haunted house operator from Hulu doc wins ruling on emails. The complaint alleges that Yaris, a documentary participant, illegally gained access to his Yahoo email account by impersonating him. Oh my goodness. So that wasn't Ben though. That wasn't Ben. That was this other guy, Yaris. I know, rabbit hole, right? Although the defendant's opinions about how McKamey Manor operates are inaccurate, Ben's use and display of the confidential information violates the NDA regardless of the inaccurate conclusions he reaches based on his speculative misinterpretation of the confidential information. I don't know if it would violate the NDA, but it might violate the non-disparagement. Subsequently, defendant was interviewed on a podcast about these events, and he said, we did break the NDA contract by sharing all of Russ's secrets. Womp womp. Okay, so then he gets into the non-disparagement section. Under the non-disparagement agreement of the contract, defendant shall not, through any form of communication with the press, the public, clients, media, blogs, or social media, disparage Russ McKamey in any way. This is the non-disparagement clause. The non-disparagement agreement further provides that Ben understands that forms of communication include but are limited. Probably should say not limited, but womp womp. Limited to social media websites, public forums, suppliers, vendors, conventions, interviews, or recorded statements. This is like, who wrote this? I definitely wasn't AI because it's full of problems. Participant understands that disparagement includes, but not limited to, critiques, derogatory statements, ridicule, slander, jokes, or insults at the expense of McKamey Manor, management, personnel, products, or services. The liquidated damages for any violation of the non-disparagement agreement is $50,000. But he did go and cross this out on his contract and made it into $1, and he already paid Russ the $1. On September 15th, 2023, defendant posted a YouTube video called The Real Truth About McKamey Manor. In the video, he said, the next question I ask is, will McKamey Manor ever be shut down because of your series? And will they receive any consequences for what you guys are doing? They say, I hope something comes out of this. Keep it up, dude. So this is actually a really big moral question that I've had with lots of people who have been through McKamey Manor, actually, and people who have like experienced it. And the question that always comes up is, if you look at McKamey Manor's and Russ McKamey's story, it goes from being on the surface level, like this dude's evil, he tortures people, blah, blah, blah. But then you really zoom into his life and you can see it's actually like kind of sad where he has nothing. All his actors, everyone he's ever worked with, all his girlfriends have all left him. He's all by himself. He doesn't have a haunted house, so he pretends like he has the greatest haunted house in the world. It's all a scam. So it's like, that's the only thing he has. Defendant then compared Mr. McKamey to Adolf Hitler. When asked by another okay, this is actually like not exactly true, because look, he's like, oh, he compared him to Adolf Hitler, but look, here's his evidence supporting that assertion. When asked by another participant in the video, are you saying Russ McKamey is Hitler right now? Is that what you're saying? Ben does not say no. The other participant asks him again, so what you're saying is the events of Nazi Party correlate to how Russ McKamey is torturing people? Ben never said yes. He doesn't say, yeah, he is. So, like, I don't think this was, like, a really good idea to include this in the lawsuit because it makes it just seem like he's, like, not filing a good faith lawsuit. It makes it, like, very obvious. Like, what do you mean? He literally refused to answer the question. Like, if Ben would have said, yeah, that's what I'm saying, we would be talking about a totally different thing right now. But that isn't what, like, Ben didn't answer the question. And in fact, and indeed, he never said yes. He said, I think I'm basically saying evil people always have a justification for themselves. That's not comparing him to Adolf Hitler. That's like explicitly refusing to do so. Paragraph 46. Beyond this supposed disparagement, defendant has made numerous other disparaging remarks about Mr. McKamey and publicly posted videos online with millions of views. Okay, but they provide no links, no site, no sources. Paragraph 47. Defendant never intended to honor. Ben never intended to honor his contractual obligation not to disclose any confidential information about McKamey Manor. At the time he signed the contract with the non-disclosure agreement, Ben knew he planned to violate the non-disclosure agreement. He never intended to honor the contractual obligation not to disparage Russ McKamey as well. At the time he signed the contract with the non-disparagement agreement, Ben knew that he planned to violate it. On or around July 2023, defendant posted a video to his YouTube channel called Infiltrating McKamey Manor. The precise date of the original post is unknown because the video was later removed and reposted to YouTube on October 13th, 2025. But the July 2023 estimate is based on the video being the first of a 3-part series, with the third part being posted August 2023. Around the 5-minute mark of that video, defendant displays the recording of a video call between himself and Russ McKamey that took place during Ben's screening process before he signed the contract. Russ McKamey said, well, the reason we're having this little meeting here, I know on your YouTube stuff you do some investigative work and this and that. Are you trying to do that to the manor? Are you trying to get dirt on the manor? Are you trying to do some investigative deal on McKamey Manor? Ben said, so no. Russ McKamey then said, I just want to make sure we're on the same page because you'll be signing a big old NDA, non-disclosure, to which Ben replied, yeah. At the time of this exchange, Ben had already been planning for months to, quote, infiltrate McKamey Manor for the purpose of obtaining confidential information and sharing it on his YouTube channel. He clearly recorded his interaction between himself and Russ with the intention of including it in his later 3-part expose entitled Infiltrating McKamey Manor. This evidences his intent of not honoring the contract, including the non-disclosure agreement and the non-disparagement agreement, which he subsequently signed. In a TikTok video posted by one of the defendant's associates, a guy by the name of Danny Burke, after defendant violated the contract, Ben and Danny made the following statements. Danny Burke said, we planned this McKamey Manor series like a year in advance. So we had plans. If they're going to sue, bring it on, because this guy, Ben, he knows how to get out of any lawsuit, and we're not scared. We actually want you guys, please do it. It's better content for us, and we ain't losing. Ben, are you ready for this battle? Because I'm ready. And Ben says, oh, I'm ready. On November 4th, 2023, defendant posted, that's Ben, he posted on his YouTube channel a video called I'm Being Called Out. And in the video, he stated, I did a lot of like legal mumbo jumbo that I don't even know if it's legal, but I did it anyways, and I was like, I'm full sending this. I'm taking down McKamey Manor, whatever it takes, If I go to jail, then so be it. As of the date of this filing, the following non-exhaustive list of publicly available live stream videos are currently posted to defendant's YouTube channel and relevant to the case. And they have a little footnote 5. Other relevant videos were posted by Ben to his Patreon channel, which is a private platform for subscribers only, explaining everything that happened. I'm being censored. Final McKamey Manor update. I got the hard drive. I'm being called out. McKamey Manor is officially being investigated. I just got back from Crucible, the most extreme haunted house. I'm creating my own haunted house. Golly, they are really on his beep. McKamey Manor's secret hard drive, responding to McKamey Manor. I attempted the real scariest extreme haunted house in the world. I'm back, reconnecting with my roommate at the cult I infiltrated. I'm back where I've been. The existence of this content has been documented to prevent attempted spoliation. So Russ McKamey's like, I made this list so Ben doesn't delete anything. As of the date of this filing, the following non-exhaustive list of publicly available edited videos are currently posted to his Ben's YouTube channel. Infiltrating McKamey Manor 3, McKamey Manor is suing me, real truth about McKamey Manor, McKamey Manor the truth, I stole McKamey Manor's secret footage, I shut down McKamey Manor, I created the real scariest haunted house in the world, infiltrating McKamey Manor 1 re-upload, infiltrating McKamey Manor 2 re-upload. The existence of this content has also been documented to prevent attempted spoliation. Defendant, Ben, and this, remember, we're reading Russ McKamey's lawsuit. We're reading Russ McKamey's lawsuit against Ben. So this is his perspective. Ben not only flagrantly violated the non-disclosure agreement and non-disparagement agreement, but he also defrauded. Oh, fraud. He defrauded Mr. McKamey by signing the contract knowing he had no intention of performing his contractual obligations and actually fully intended to breach the contract, which was his entire purpose for interacting with Russ in the Manor in the first place. Had Mr. McKamey known that the defendant, Ben, had no intention of honoring his contractual obligations in the non-disclosure agreement and the non-disparagement agreement, he would have never agreed to allow Ben to take a tour of the Manor. So the first claim for relief, the first thing he's suing for, breach of contract, specifically the non-disclosure, the NDA. Paragraphs 1 through 62 are incorporated. On May 27th, this is a bad day for Ben. May 27th is the day of the RICO filing in 2026. Defendant signed the contract, which contained a non-disclosure agreement, NDA. Don't tell the secrets. This is different from non-disparagement. Okay, non-disclosure is you can't talk about what you found out here. The non-disclosure agreement prohibits the unauthorized disclosure of any information deemed proprietary by Mr. McKamey, or which should be reasonably recognized as confidential information. October 2023, December 2023, Ben posted 2 videos to his YouTube channel, totaling over 3.3 million views, in which he prominently and repeatedly displayed this so-called secret footage of McKamey Manor he obtained from a stolen hard drive belonging to Mr. McKamey. Ben later admitted that he did break the NDA contract. He breached the contract for the NDA. Okay, so the second count, the second thing that Russ is suing Ben for is also breach of contract, but this time it is the non-disparagement agreement. So not to say anything bad about Russ publicly. On May 27th, he signed this contract as well. This non-disparagement agreement prohibits Ben from making any critiques, derogatory statements, ridicule, slander, jokes, or insults at the expense of Russ. Can't even make a joke. Can't even make a joke. On September 15th, 2023, defendant posted his video containing numerous disparaging remarks, including comparing him to Adolf Hitler. Ben also made other disparaging remarks about Russ McKamey in other videos. Defendant materially breached. Okay. The third thing he's suing for, fraudulent inducement. Confidentiality was a material term to the contract entered into by Mr. McKamey and Ben. A big part of it was to keep everything confidential. Mr. McKamey emphasized the contract's non-disclosure agreement. He relied on Ben signing it. Okay. The fourth count is also fraudulent inducement, but this time it's the disparagement. Do you notice anything missing? What? Okay. If I just told you Russ McKamey, the owner of the haunted house, sued Ben, what would be the first thing you would think he sued for? The first thing that would come to your mind. For me, it would be defamation. Why didn't Russ sue Ben for defamation? Well, if you know where I'm going with this, what are the elements of defamation? A false statement presented as if it's the truth that harms the reputation or otherwise harms the person about which The statement was uttered. It has to be published, either actually in writing. That defamation could be libel or slander. But what does it have to be in order to? What's not what ain't defamation? Facts, the truth. The truth, you probably have heard other legal, commentators. The truth is an absolute defense to defamation. So it's interesting to me. Russ McKamey is suing for breach of contract and fraudulent inducement in a contract. This contract case. This is a business contract law case because it has nothing to do with defamation. Russ McKamey probably knows. First of all, facts ain't defamation. And second of all, if you're going to sue for defamation, you have to prove all kinds of things that have to pass muster under the Constitution. A contract, on the other hand, which actually kind of does bring back around what we talked about in the first segment. We're all born with rights in the United States, supposedly. All of us are born with these rights, but, thankfully in the United States, at least they wrote it down and they claim to protect those rights. So at least sometimes some people get to go to court and have their rights respected, at least in the open air hell prison we all live in. But you have these rights, but there's certain rights you can just sign away. You can just agree to sign away or to waive your rights. And this would happen in the form of a contract. So if somebody wants to enter into an NDA and they're not being, forced or induced or threatened or something like that, they just want to enter into the NDA, then they can. Now they have agreed to waive some of the rights. They walked into signing that agreement with the right to speak about something, but they agreed not to. Now this is kind of what's going on as well in the case with Bricks and Minifigs and Ben. The two parties, or the two sides in the many parties, they all agreed to kind of voluntarily give up their rights to do certain things. But the judge said, no, y'all gave up too much rights. It's too much. We need a little narrower. Yeah, so some of y'all are still saying defamation. I think some of y'all, yeah, unless you're a North Korean hacker. I don't know any of those. I don't know any North Korean hackers. So Russ McKamey is basically keeping this in business court and keeping it out of First Amendment court. And I think it's a great idea on his part, because if this thing came to defamation, then you do anti-slap. But if he's able to at least bring a contract and say, yeah, okay, we're not talking about what Ben has the right to talk about. He signed a contract. So now Russ is going to be able to bypass even having to make any of those constitutional claims. Now, what Ben's going to still have strong contractual claims, like the breach amount was not $50,000, it was $1, and Russ McKamey should have made sure he read the contract that he was signing. That is true. Toke Air, this is true. Is it Toke Talk? The other guy who, got in the lawsuit with Russ McKamey said he would delete the anti-McKamey forum and everything related to it if Russ just would show one rat. He couldn't show a rat because he'll have no rats. He acts like he has rats, but he didn't have any, apparently, allegedly. Abraham said, if the act that you are being asked not to talk about or disclose are illegal, then the NDA is null and invalid. That's not exactly how I understand it to work. I could be wrong. What I understand it to work as is if you are approached, like let's say you sign an NDA and it's to not talk about something that is illegal, right? Okay. Like let's say you see somebody do, some crime. Let's just say you see somebody do a crime at the Diddy party and they're like, I will pay you $1 million if you never tell anybody about the crime you just saw me commit. And you just have to sign this contract and I'll give you $1 million. Okay, fine. That's fine. It's not like instantly null and void. If the cops come around asking you a question, like let's say the cops come around and say, hey, did you ever take $1 million or any money at all to not talk about a crime that, so-and-so committed at the Diddy party? In that case, you're not going to be, a lot of people do. They say, I signed an NDA, I can't talk to you. And the cops are like, oh, the NDA doesn't count because it's a crime. We're investigating a crime. However, a lot of people think if it's, if they think it has to do with criminal behavior, then they can just run out and violate their NDA. If the behavior itself hasn't been adjudicated, it's not a crime. Why? Because everybody in our justice system is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So even if you think you saw somebody do a crime, if they haven't been actually found guilty of the crime yet, or if it's not like a law enforcement investigation, like at your doorstep, or basically like you're going to report it to the cops, which you can do. This is not legal advice. I've seen a lot of people who think they can just run out and start talking about stuff, and those people get sued. So at the end of the day, sure. Technically, sure. You're not really supposed to be able to hold somebody to keep a secret when it was a crime that was committed. That being said, there's a lot of gray area in between there, and I've seen that come back to bite people. So that's just word of caution. But I'm not an expert or anything on it. Thanks so much to GRB for the $5. Thank you to Watchman Andres for the $19.99. BAM currently has 270 locations across the United States, where California is the most number of locations, 28. A TRO, a temporary restraining order, would make trap bin. Yeah, it's like two. I think for the reasons you mentioned here and others. A lot of people think I'm doing my makeup when I do this, y'all. Just so you're aware, I'm not. I'm allergic to everything. And my nose gets tickly, and it's like gentler on my nose to just like scratch it with this brush than like be doing this the whole time. I'm not doing my makeup. My makeup is done. Okay. Okay. Anyway, thank you for the $19.99. I do agree with you. That it is overly broad for many reasons, including the one you mentioned. Thank you to Dream for the $5, for the Paper Fund LLC. Thank you. Thank you to Omega Robot for the becoming a new member. Thank you, Lily, for the $5. The BAM map discusses the notary fraud ring of Legally Mine. Oh, wow. And the American Fork downtown realtors who own the police department fund. I'll have to check that out. Thank you to Dan Booze for the £5. Oh, but shouldn't we all be allowed to know if Josh Johnson is a narcissist, psychopath, sociopath, or anything else? I mean, I think so, but I don't know what they doing. I was wondering, this GRB said, what did he have a drone flying? I do wonder if that is something to do with a drone. I don't know. Thanks so much to Carrie for the $10 super chat. Thank you for covering the McKamey Manor stuff. You are welcome. Thanks so much to Dream Sigils for the $5. Can you please remind me about how defamation charges are different when it's about a public figure? Does Russ consider himself a famous person? Okay, that's a good question. Let me pull up the web, actually. I think it'll just be easier if I do that. I'm very visual, and I assume, actually, I think most people are. So, this is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, go hire yourself a lawyer. Let's go over here. Okay, so this is just like roughly, okay, just roughly. Defamation elements are false statement of fact. Okay, actually, I'm going to break it down even more. Statement of fact that is false, published to third party, and that just means spoken out loud, that caused harm. Okay. What is not defamation? What is not defamation? The truth, right? Why is the truth not defamation? Because it would violate this element. Hold on, let me make it be like this. Hold on. Okay, this one ain't gonna. Girl. Okay, whatever. I don't know why it won't left align. Statement of fact has to be false, has to be uttered to a third party. You can't just be, saying it in your shower. You can't just be thinking it in your own mind. It has to be stated out loud to somebody else, and it has to have caused harm. Okay. That's normal. That's the regular defamation. But when it involves a public figure, there is another element called actual malice. Actual malice. Okay. This is the fifth element. This is for public figures. You have to say the statement. It has to be fact. You have to say a statement of fact. It has to be false. You have to say it to somebody else, and it has to cause harm. And the harm has to be proven. But if it's a famous person or a politician, there's something else that has to be proven. And the burden of proof lies on the person who's trying to make the claim. Actual malice means the defendant, the person who said the statement, knew or had a very strong reason to know or went out of their way to avoid learning the real truth just so they could keep on saying this harmful statement. For example, Donald Trump is a crackhead. I know he's a crackhead. Well, if Donald Trump sends you a drug test and shows you he never did crack or whatever, even though he's the president, even though he's a politician, even though he's very famous, if you know that what you're saying is false or have a strong reason to know and you keep saying it, he might have a claim. Actual malice, like let's say the Brigitte Macron. Brigitte Macron, was she born assigned male at birth? Was she born as a man? Was she raised as a boy? This stuff. Candace Owens make these allegations. Well, in general, it's going to be very hard for Brigitte Macron to win this case unless she can prove, and she would have to prove it, that Candace Owens knew for a fact that Brigitte was born a woman. And how can you possibly? It's very hard to do. So this is because, in general, especially in the United States, we have the right to discuss matters of public concern. And we especially have the right to discuss matters that deal with people who are running things, people who are matters of public interest themselves. And so the question is not, does Russ consider himself a public figure? It almost never ends up being that. The question is the person a public figure? And the judge has certain things that they would weigh in favor of that. Now, there's two levels of public figures as well. There's a public figure, just everybody would know that person. Elvis, Madonna, Britney Spears, everybody all the world over knows who these people are. That's public figure, bona fide, no question. But then there's what's called a limited purpose public figure. A limited purpose public figure is somebody who has intentionally availed themselves to the public, even if it's in a little niche. Someone who speaks at conferences, someone who has availed themselves to the public for public donations, things like that. And so the judges do have tests that they run, and this has gone all the way up to the Supreme Court many times, of who's a limited purpose public figure, who is a bona fide public figure, who is a private individual. And sometimes issues can become so public but even if the person took all the steps to remain private, like the courts are still going to say the actual malice standard doesn't apply because we have to protect the people's rights to talk about public matters. Thank you for the $5. I hope that clears that up. Shall we check the website? Hold on, I have to send a text. Did y'all hear about the preacher? Did y'all hear about the preacher in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, who beat somebody up in front of the church? It's going viral. No, Brian, actually, no, you're wrong here. Just saying that she's a man is enough for a defamation case. Sure, it is like another thing to say that she specifically is someone else, but in any event, you still have to prove that she knew for a fact. Like, she knew for a fact or she avoided learning it. And I think that, I definitely don't agree with Candace Owens on many things she says. But if I'm just being honest, I think she has a very strong defense because she, from what I understand, reached out and her lawyers reached out to Brigitte Macron, to Brigitte Macron Elysee Palace, to Brigitte Macron's lawyers, and she sent them like a 25 question list, 21 questions, whatever it was. And she said, look, I won't say these things. These are the things I'm planning on saying. Can you answer if this is true or not? And they didn't even respond to her. So if Brigitte Macron is going to try to prove actual malice by saying, if she's going to need to prove actual malice, no matter if the case is in Delaware or no matter if the case is in Tennessee or wherever it is, she's going to have to prove actual malice. She's going to have to prove that Candace had a way to know the information, but avoided finding it out. Well, Candace is just going to say, that's not true. She avoided answering the question. If she would have just answered the questions. Now, a lot of people don't like that. Why does someone need to answer a question about if they're a man or a woman? I mean, it definitely is a little invasive. But like, it would be pretty easy for me to prove I'm a woman. I mean, I would go right down to the clinic. I would get a blood test. I would show the chromosomes and then I would move on with it. Like, it wouldn't be very difficult. So it's like, that's part of the whole thing. You're going to be the wife of somebody that's the president. You got to be aware that there's going to be conspiracy theories about you. There's going to be. It's just, you just got to know that. Please, you just got to know that. It's aggravating, but like, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. I didn't do the blood test and I didn't do the genitals check. Okay. And at this point, it really is like, what even is a woman and what even is a man? I don't know that the Olympics committee even has a good reason, a good definition at this point. So it's kind of like, how are you going to prove Candace knew something or should have known something when you didn't even answer the questions? And it is a very difficult legal position for Brigitte to be in. Legal position. I'm not talking about emotions and feelings. But the same way goes for, I mean, I've seen people say all kind of horrible things about Candace Owens. I never seen her sue nobody over it too. So it's kind of like, good for the goose, good for the gander. She don't sue nobody either. I've never seen her sue anybody. Laura Loomer has Candace as public enemy number one. She has said some horrible things about Candace and her husband and her kids. And, it's not like Candace doesn't get her own share of that. Again, I disagree with the woman on a lot of stuff. But I don't know who's a man and who isn't a man. And to be honest with you, it does not make a difference to me. It don't make a difference to me in the least. Okay, let's go back to the court case website and see if it's been updated. Any new things been filed today? I know a lot of people were speculating that they thought this would be, still handled by this weekend. Like by Friday afternoon, it's all going to be handled. I'm less optimistic. So I'm going to search and see if anything new has hit the docket. Last we searched was about an hour or an hour and a half ago. You know what freaks me out about Brigitte Macron way more than maybe she's a man, maybe she's a woman? I really don't care. You know what freaks me out about Brigitte Macron the most? That I actually think is like, it does matter a lot to me. Brigitte Macron was teaching a teacher at a high school in her late 30s, mid or late 30s. And that's how she met the current sitting president or prime minister or whatever of France, her now husband. The lore goes, she was teaching and he was the student and he was 14 years old or 15 years old when they met. And she wasn't just some teacher at the school. She was his teacher. She was the theater teacher. And she was in her 30s and he was 14 or maybe 15 when they met. And she left her husband for him. Okay, that's the story to me. To me, that's the story. That's the story. Maybe it was a man, maybe it was a woman. I actually don't care. In the late 30s with the kid, and the kid was at the school that you was, And then they'll try to argue back, well, and 15 is the age of consent in France. I don't care. They nasty over there. That's nasty to me. That's nasty to me. But apparently that 15 being the age of consent thing is only counts if you're not somebody's teacher or like position of authority over them. Can't be your mom or your aunt or your teacher. Yeah, right. What Brian said. Yeah. Yeah. And she was in her 30s, like late, about to be 40. And he was like 14. To me, like, that's the story. To me, that's the story. Get haunted. No, I didn't see get haunted comment. No, I'd be missing stuff. I just see thank you for the kind words. Chris? Wait, what's horror road trip? Get haunted Midwest. Is that in the McKamey Manor thing? Shout out to you. Chris from Horror. Chris from Horror Road Trip. What is Horror Road Trip? I'm scared. I'm scared of horror. Oh, cool. Oh, wait. Wait. I gotta learn the... Okay, let's go to Horror Road Trip. Chris from Horror Road Trip is in the chat right now. I need to turn on where y'all are going to be able to hear. Let's see. Yes, I'm in the lawsuit with Ben. Shout out to you. I cannot stand a frivolous lawsuit. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Horror Road Trip. Oh, let me subscribe. Wait, I think you're in the video, right? It's so hard because the, yeah. Okay, McKamey Manor. Let's watch this. 11 days ago.
Many of you may know.
It says, it says, McKamey Manor Lawsuit Defense Fund. All right, let's see.
Many of you may know us from our coverage and discussions of McKamey Manor and the controversy surrounding it over the years.
Okay.
Today, Brandon and I find ourselves in an ongoing legal battle involving Russ McKame, with Reckless Ben also sitting directly in the crosshairs. While we cannot discuss every detail of the case, we can say this. Defending yourself...
Wait, okay, hold on. Sorry. Let me pull back up the... Is this just against Reckless Ben? Or are you named in this actual... No, okay. So he must have separate lawsuits against y'all. 3? How many damn lawsuits? Because we also learned about a different lawsuit Russ was in where somebody was found liable for... But that wasn't you. That was somebody, Yersi. What was that dude's name? It's a long lawsuit. That lawsuit we read, 66 pages. Oh, there's also the contract. Do y'all want to read the contract attached as an exhibit or no? He attached the lawsuit as an exhibit. Welcome to McKamey Manor. Okay, hold on. Let's watch this video.
Court is incredibly expensive. This lawsuit has already cost us more than $35,000 in legal fees.
I believe it.
And those costs continue to grow as the case moves forward and we prepare for our court hearings. What started as a commitment to speaking publicly about issues we believed were important has become a significant financial and personal challenge. We believe that everyday people should be able to speak openly, share their experiences, and participate in public conversations without the fear of the cost of litigation alone financially ruining them or forcing them into silence. No matter where someone stands on McKamey Manor, most people can agree that everyone deserves the opportunity to defend themselves in court and have their case heard fairly. We are a united front. We are committed to continuing that defense.
The sympathetic music
we
is
believe
the
our
music
voices
is good.
deserve to be heard through the legal process, and we are determined not to be silenced simply because the fight is difficult or expensive. We're not asking anyone to decide the case here. We're not asking anyone to take our word over someone else's. We are simply asking for help covering the very real cost of defending ourselves through the legal process. Every donation, no matter the amount, helps us continue moving forward. Every share helps us reach others who may wish to support our legal defense. And most importantly, your support reminds us that we're not facing this challenge
So
alone.
is this Chris? This is Chris.
To everyone who has followed our work, encouraged us, and stood with us through the years, thank you. Your support means more than we can express. We look forward to presenting our case in court and allowing the legal process to run its course. Thank you for standing with us.
Okay, what does it say? Managed. I am a slow reader. Transparency note, managed by Chris via a dedicated account for Chris and Brandon's active legal defense. If Ben, named but not yet served, is forced into this litigation, funds will also cover his representation. Okay, let's go to the GoFundMe. Wow, okay, they already raised, no, do not sell. Let's see, many of you know us from our coverage and discussion of McKamey Manor and the controversy surrounding it over the years. Today, Brandon and I, Christopher Smith, find ourselves in ongoing legal proceedings involving Russ McKame. While Ben has also been named in the lawsuit, he has not yet been served. While we cannot discuss every detail of the case, we can say this: defending yourself in court is incredibly expensive. The lawsuit has already cost us more than $35,000 in legal fees, and those costs continue to grow as the case moves forward and we prepare for our court hearings. What started as a commitment to speaking publicly about issues we believe were important has become a significant financial and personal challenge. We believe that everyday people should be able to speak openly. Okay, so basically like what he already said. Every donation helps. So let me, I don't know if I'm like allowed to share, like the feature might be turned off here, but I'll share it here in the chat. Pin it right there. Independent for a reason. People get too stupid for me. Chris and Brandon, we're in the Hulu doc. It's really good. I'm going to need to watch that. It's interesting. Chris said his Get Haunted Midwest, but you got an accent like you sound like you're from New Jersey. I live in New Jersey, so it's like a familiar, like a good accent. Has anyone ever told you sound like you're from New Jersey? Wow, look at that. That is nice. So yeah, and Chris is here in the chat. Shout out to Chris. The link works. Okay, good. Have you done any interviews? Let's see. Used to be friends with Russ. You couldn't tell? You couldn't tell something was wrong with that man? Look at this. What Russ McKame was charged with.
I think the magic of the board is
last year. Hold on. Oh, shoot. Hold on. I gotta sign into my account.
Many of you may know us from
Look what he was charged with last year. But then they dropped these charges, by the way. Owner of McKamey Manor charged with attempted murder and R-word.
Tracking crime now in Lawrence County, the owner of an infamous haunted attraction known for its extreme tactics is facing charges. According to court documents, Russ McKame was arrested at his home in Summertown on Friday after allegedly assaulting his girlfriend. Since Friday, more charges have been filed. He's now accused of trying to kill his girlfriend on more than one occasion, with the first incident reported on July 17th, a day before the alleged attack.
Oh, my word. Y'all. I'm about to pass out. That was your girlfriend or his girlfriend? It was your girlfriend, then his girlfriend? He tried to kill her? Last year?
Accused of strangling the victim on two separate incidents. His bond is now set at more than $100,000. McKamey has been...
Y'all both used to be Russ friend, now you're not.
His haunted manor out of Summertown since 2017. A petition has been active since 2019 to shut down the manor.
Y'all, this is right here. Oh my God, have y'all seen this?
Today is June 24th, 2026.
It's approximately 2 o'clock Central Standard Time.
This man is like a Pentecostal preacher in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He beat the dog's snot out of the neighbor to the church. He got arrested. And the reason why, I'm gonna let y'all hear it from him.
I'll take this opportunity to thank the media, this great host of friends and church members for coming out today.
He beat somebody up
and showing their support and standing in solidarity with us. I'm going to give you a statement of the events that occurred on yesterday, June the 23rd of 2026. At approximately 9 a.m., I'm out on the church parking lot. There I'm working on one of our Sunday school buses. We have a large bus fleet. We have several people that do maintenance on our buses. I was swapping out the batteries on bus number 48.
He was swapping out the batteries on bus number 48 himself.
By that, you have dead batteries. I'm putting new batteries on the bus.
I'm following this story so
while
close.
I'm working on our bus fleet, the individual across the street, one of the men across the street, is walking up and down the shoulder, parallel with the bus, which is about 100 yards to my south right now, or 100 yards to my east. And while this individual is walking up and down the shoulder of the road, he's shouting vulgarities, profanities, and very nasty words towards my person, toward myself. And while I'm working on this particular bus, he said, "Tony," I'm quoting him, he said, "Tony, I'm going to rape your wife. I'm going to rape all of your grandchildren." And he said, "The next time you go out of town, I'm going to kill them. And what the F are you going to do about it?"
He went and beat his ass.
End quote. This has gone on for years now. Behind me are several witnesses who can attest to what was said. They have video. They have made numerous complaints to the police and the sheriff's department. Our church represents 27 nationalities. Every nationality that comes to this church comes for a safe place of refuge, a place of worship.
27, that's
Many
pretty
recovering
diverse.
addicts who come for a place of worship. They are constantly stalked by these individuals across the street. They are constantly intimidated with threats of bodily harm.
Apparently, there's these neighbors across the street from this church. And they be screaming the N-word. They say all kinds of horrible, "I'm a R-word you, I'm a R-word your wife." And this all goes back to the COVID times, because this is one of the preachers down there that wanted to keep having his sermons. And, you know, whatever your opinions are on that at this point, you know, you're allowed to have. But come to find out, the sheriff's department was using that neighbor's house during COVID to surveil this preacher. There was like a surveillance room in there, cameras in this church, like pointed at the church and all that. And this neighbor has just been terrorizing them. And he said, "When I'm going to R-word your wife, I'm going to R-word your grandchildren. And the next time you out of town, I'm going to kill them." Preacher said, "No, you're not." There's a video of him walking across the street and beating the brakes off that dude, but I can't play it on my YouTube channel. And I want to talk about this story like after we're done with Russ McKame. But this video just like popped up. Spoiler alert, this is my dad's childhood friend. My dad went to this guy's grandpa's church school when he was a kid. So when I tell y'all those stories about my dad, this his friend. He's a reverend, he's a preacher at the Life Tabernacle Church. And somebody threatened to R-word his wife and grandkids, and he went and beat them up. He got arrested for second-degree battery. Yeah. That's my dad's friend growing up. I knew y'all were going to like that. I was like, all right, stay with me. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. Let me pull up that contract. All right, this was Exhibit A. To the lawsuit. Welcome to McKamey Manor. Okay, so now Russ McKame has made this public. Okay, Exhibit 1, contract. What is this right here? I don't want that right there. Okay. Welcome to McKamey Manor. This is the contract. The Abyss. And then Russ's face. Oh, man, it does look like the Abyss. I am a bit frightened. I rebuke. You really don't want to do this. Yeah, I really don't. You won't catch me doing it. Welcome to McKamey Manor. This invitation is your one and only ticket to entering the manor. Okay, but is there anything to enter, Russ? Will you be the one to succeed where many have failed before? A smart person would turn and run at this point, but I don't think that's the case with you. Since you have received this letter, it means your tour has officially begun, and now it's only a matter of time before the manor will drink your milk and steal your lunch money. The info here is what will help you on your tour. Attention to detail is the key to succeed. Okay, Elron, got it. What is this even a picture of? Man or horn? I rebuke. This week, leading up to your tour, you are expected to complete assignments given to you, as this is all part of the full McKamey Manor experience. Not attempting or completing assignments can result in cancellation of your tour. You may be contacted by phone, email, Facebook at any time. It is on you to respond in a timely manner to any contact attempt. Failure to do so can result in a cancellation of your tour. By signing up to take a tour in McKamey Manor, you're committing to be available to start your tour up to 24 hours prior to your scheduled tour. That means you need to be within a 15-minute drive of Summertown, Tennessee, the day prior to your tour. At any time within that 24-hour window, you can be told to go and complete a task or meet at a location. Failure to do so can result in cancellation of your tour. Well, what location? Can you survive a 3-hour horror experience? Throughout your tour, you will have to complete tasks and stunts. I notice he puts these in capital letters as if they are defined terms, and yet he never defined them. If you are unsuccessful at 3 tasks and or 3 stunts, your tour is over. One of the many stunts you may experience on your tour is rat race. Navigate through 150 yards of rodents, rat traps, and electric fences. You will be in a stunt. Okay, now it's lowercase again. I noticed that. Until you tap out or complete the activity. Some stunts have a time limit, and that will be stated prior to the start of the activity. At the time of tapping out of a stunt or running out of time, you will be reevaluated to make sure you are physically and mentally capable of continuing. At any point in your tour, okay, this part is ridiculous. This is the safe word. It's this whole paragraph. If at any point in your tour, when you feel you have reached your limit and can't take any more, you can yell out those magic words, "I quit," and then recite the rest of your safe phrase. Below is your safe phrase. Once said, your tour is legally over and you cannot ask to start back up. Quote, okay, here's the safe phrase. First, "I quit." You used to have no safe phrase. That was the lore in the beginning. And then it was like he would sue people for leaking the contract, but now he just put the contract out as Exhibit 1. This is you got to say the whole phrase to quit. Quote, "My name is blank. If you talked any trash, mention the trash you talked and how you were wrong. Or you can say anything entertaining. I came all the way from California just to have the McKamey Manor. Eat my lunch, take my milk money." It's drink my milk, take my lunch money. Y'all are stupid. "And kick my butt and I quit. You really don't want to do this. You really don't want to do this." You got to say this whole phrase. After saying the safe phrase, your tour will be over, and you will then be blindfolded. Russ will pick you back up in the truck, drop you off at the pickup location. At this point, we ask you get to your car. When you get to your car, before you even leave, do a live feed exit interview in the closed group. Oh, that closed group is probably full of perverts. Instructions for exit interview are listed in the live feed. Okay, so one of the things that they do to these people on these so-called tours is cover them in like paint. So they're like covered in paint and dirt and nasty stuff. So they want them covered in all this nasty stuff in a onesie. They make them Russ makes them wear a onesie. And then he wants you to go live in your car full of dirt, paint, sometimes blood, busted lips. He is sick and twisted. Yeah, it does. It sounds like fetish stuff. I think this like closed group is full of like perverts and freaks. I really do. I really think that. Look at the stuff he wants you to bring. $60 optional donation. A lot of time and effort goes into each tour, and this donation will help the manor continue. 50-pound bag of dog food. A box of dog treats. 1 roll of colored duct tape, pack of AA batteries, glitter and face paint, helium-filled balloons. What the bring something to eat and drink, towels, they will get ruined. A copy of your driver's license, sports physical, and insurance, earplugs, gloves, and a onesie. Live feeds. I don't like how he says live feeds. I wish he would call it a stream. This section goes over how to coordinate, film, and post live feeds for the week of your tour. 24 hours prior to your tour date, you could be told at a moment's, apostrophe goes here, Russ, notice that you need to make a live feed. Please familiarize yourself with the process so that everything can run seamlessly. I think this is like the advertisement to the rich people, to the people that are to the clients. I think that's what this is. Not going live when told can result in cancellation of your tour. At some point during the week prior to your tour date, Russ may bring you into one of his live feeds. You will need headphones, your phone set up to allow Facebook to access your camera. When doing live feeds, the phone needs to be in the horizontal position so they can make a YouTube video prior to starting the feed, or it will not work. Not doing the live videos when asked can result in cancellation of the tour. Any person recorded must give permission on camera to be filmed. Nobody under 18 to be filmed. No cursing. What? No cursing. No smoking, drinking makes sense. Nothing inappropriate or dangerous. Doesn't he waterboard people? What do you mean nothing inappropriate or dangerous? All filming done in horizontal position. Intro video. 10-minute intro video is required. Not doing the intro video by a given time will result in canceling your tour. You also need to make a post an hour prior in the closed group, letting people know you will be doing your introduction video. This is insane. In this video, tell us about yourself and why you want to take on the Manor. Your story can be fake or true. You can lie. Well, I don't really care. Oh my God, this is crazy. It doesn't matter. Just have fun. Confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10 and how long you think you will last in the Manor. Also list your 5 fears and phobias. No thanks. Feel free to answer any questions the fans ask during your live feed. Trash talk is always welcome. Just keep it appropriate and follow the filming standards. Then you get the tour day pre-arrival video. You must post a 5-minute live feed in the closed group. This is freaks. 10 minutes prior to showtime. It's like you're like looking at this person talking all their trash. You know, you're like, oh yeah, look, they're doing the video. And then they get out there and they start getting abused and beat up. Cursing is off limits. You must post 5-minute live feed in the closed group 10 minutes prior to showtime. You need to once again talk about your confidence level and how you are physically and mentally feeling on a scale of 1 to 10. Answer any and all questions in the live feed to help fill the time. After your tour, before you even drive away, we want to hear from you. Go live and tell the fans about your experience without giving away surprises to the future contestants. Be honest in this video and let us know how you're feeling, okay, where your mind is at, and if you would ever again take on the McKamey Manor challenge. Here, okay, so here's the contract he actually signed. I authorize, hold on, let me redact. I'm redacting Ben's address, even though this is filed publicly. I'm just going to redact it here. Okay. My fears and phobias. Free beer, loose women, good conversations with an old friend. Oh yeah, so scary. Oh, y'all are funny. So here's, I grant them right to record me, film, videotape, audio visual, textual transcription, edit the recording into a film, YouTube publication, release the producer from any infringement or violation, personal property. Okay, that's a general release. Here is the non-disclosure. This is the NDA itself. Made and entered into between Russ and Ben. Throughout the duration of this agreement, The disclosing party, that'd be Ben, may deem it necessary to disclose or share certain information with the recipient. Okay, so disclosing party is Russ. May deem it necessary to disclose or share certain proprietary information with Ben. Therefore, in consideration of the mutual promises and covenants contained in the agreement and blah, 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 both parties agree as follows. Confidential information shall mean and include any data or information that is deemed proprietary to Russ and that which is not generally known to the public, whether tangible, whenever or however disclosed, including marketing plans, strategies, financial info, plans for products, services, scientific or technical data, concepts, reports, data, works in progress, designs, development tools, any other information that should reasonably be recognized as confidential information. So this is what Ben's getting sued for violating this specifically. The term, 120 months. That's 10 years. That's a long time. Both parties acknowledge and agree. Notice of breach. Receiving party shall immediately notify the disclosing party upon discovery of any breach. I wonder if he did that. Oh. Why did they put a space in the middle of the word severability? Severability, please. No witnesses. Okay, hold on. Let me redact. Okay, so now here's the non-disparagement agreement. Participant agrees that during his tour of the manor and for 20 years, and for 20 years after the departure from the tour, that Ben shall not, through any form of communication with the press, public, clients, media, blogs, social media, disparage McKamey in any way or the manner. He understands that forms of communication include, but are limited to, should probably have said not limited to, social media, websites, public forums, suppliers, vendors, conventions, interviews, or record statements. Participant, that's Ben, understands that disparagement includes but is not limited to critiques, derogatory statements, ridicule, slander, jokes, insults at the expense of McKamey Manor, management personnel, products or services. Participant understands. Okay, so he does have the 50,000. Wait, I thought Ben changed it to $1. It says 50,000 right there. Registration. Okay, mandatory waiver. So he's like, okay, I can die. That's fine. Participant agrees to engage in mediation efforts before taking about formable principals or agents. What in the hell? Just see if this is any. No. Okay. It's fine. Would McKamey have altered the copy? Well, I know, but why would he have signed this one though? I mean, I thought that kind of defeats the whole purpose of what he did though, right? Like he changed the contract to $1. Maybe the 50,000 is in more than one place. Very interesting. Okay, let me see. Live stream videos. Okay, so here's Exhibit 2. These are his live streams. I got the hard drive. I think that's his girlfriend, Ben's. Edited videos. So that's that. I wanted to go to the court website and see if anything has been dated, uploaded over there. So let's do that now. No. Still nothing else new. Still nothing else new here. Anonymity City Kitty said, P.S. The idea of rich weirdos seeking out perverse content via McKamey could almost take us full circle back to the day. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Because I have had a very weird feeling that somehow the David case is going to cross back over with this whole Reckless Ben saga. And I don't know why. I just keep like thinking about Celeste in that trunk. And I just, I can't even say what I've actually like fully been thinking because it's good. Y'all are going to think I'm schizophrenic. But it's interesting you mentioned David. Thank you, Jennifer, for the $10. In several of Ben's videos, he shows the joke. My guess was he filmed editing a contract but did not actually edit the real contract. Okay. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Anyway, okay. So same deal applies here. Like if anything, new and breaking happens with this Ben case while I'm covering the next topic here, we will stop what we're doing there and then I'll just, pick back up on the Ben stuff. I do think that something probably will be filed today. But in the meantime, I want to talk about this preacher that is literally, okay, I don't know him that well like that. I'm not Pentecostal. I don't practice any religion. I don't know if he's Pentecostal either. They might be full gospel or something over there. But my dad's funeral, this guy's brother sang at it. Like that's like, we like know these people. So, I mean, obviously, I can't condone illegal activities or whatever, but I'm just going to let y'all listen to him. I'm going to let y'all listen to his words on it. But I want to go over this saga. I find it to be profoundly interesting. No, not his dad. That's his brother, Timothy, I thought. That's his dad? I thought they were brothers. Timothy looks real young. Okay, my mom's in the chat. She said that was his dad. But still, okay, so his dad sang at my dad's funeral, which I thought that was his brother. I really think that was his brother. I think you got it mixed up. Okay, let me turn this down a little bit. It's very loud. This is him getting arrested for the beating. They are picking him up. This is the preacher of the church. That's his wife right there with the blue dress. She's filming. He just beat this dude up. He was like 20 years old.
I got a video of it.
Central Pastor Tony Spell arrested on battery charge. Okay, I have a lot of links. Okay, now he got arrested before. He got arrested before during COVID and stuff. I'm probably gonna get copyright struck. Let me turn the This is him leaving out of jail a few years ago. He does not. Do y'all see how it turned out like I did? These are the preachers where I'm from. Look at him walking out of jail. He don't care. He ain't worried. Okay, look. Here he is preaching with an ankle monitor.
We're going to practice social distancing. If you ain't from the same house, don't touch.
This is back during COVID, I
If you
guess.
ain't afraid, this is a free country. Do what you do.
He was doing all this during COVID, so he's already a little controversial down there. Now, at this point, knowing what we know now, whatever. But, during the time, we didn't know what COVID was going to do or whatever. I mean, this was a big controversy. He's got his ankle monitor on. I think he put his foot up. What did he?
We're not hiding anymore.
Look at him. Oh my God. He ain't hiding anymore.
It's a dirty, rotten, crying shame when you have to hide in America. Now this morning, come on. You're my friend, Josh.
Josh is taking a picture.
You stand with that man tomorrow.
I will say he does have an incredibly diverse congregation. Okay, let's see. This is I guess I thought this was his brother. This apparently is his dad. Oh no, that's him. This is him himself. Hold on.
Out here in Baton Rouge.
I have church on Tuesday night. I'm heading to the pulpit right now. I've got a red hot sermon ready.
Anything you would like to say to your congregation,
got a
to the
red
people
hot sermon.
out here in Baton Rouge?
I have church on Tuesday night. I'm heading to the pulpit right now.
Pulpit right now.
I've got a red
He's at
hot
the jail.
sermon
This
ready.
is the jail.
Anything you would like?
Oh my God. Listen. They don't make them like they do in Louisiana. I'll tell y'all that. Okay, look, now I did a press conference yesterday with his lawyer.
Today is June 24th, 2026, approximately 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. I take this opportunity to thank the media, this great host of friends, church members for coming out today.
Oh my God. No, you cannot see my ID. Said I would rather go to a church with a preacher who defends kids instead of abusing them. I'm trying to search for the lie. I can't
Showing
find
their
it.
support and standing in solidarity with us. I'm going to give you a statement of the events that occurred on yesterday, June the 23rd, 2026. At
Okay.
approximately 9 a.m., I'm out on the church parking lot. There I'm working on one of our Sunday school buses. We have a large bus fleet. We have several
They have a bus fleet. They bus people in. Like bus drivers go to like neighborhoods, trailer parks, whatever, pick people up and bring them to the church. And come to find out, when the bus drivers will be pulling into the church parking lot, they got these neighbors across the street and they'll be screaming the N-word. We don't want them people in our neighborhood. They'll be screaming, we gonna R-word you. And these people are just deranged. And apparently they're like friends with the cops. And that's why nothing ever happens to them. And now this is all blown up because now this pastor's finally snapped. It's been going on 6 years. They've been, not only harassing him, but like his congregation. And he just said, you're not going to be R-wording my wife. No, you're not.
people that do maintenance on our buses. I was swapping out the batteries on bus number 48. I've had to get dead batteries and putting new batteries in the bus.
I
So
sped it
while I'm
up.
working on our bus fleet, the individual across the street, one of the men across the street, is walking up and down the shoulder, parallel with the bus, which is about 100 yards to my south right now, or 100 yards to my east. And while this individual is walking up and down the shoulder of the road, he's shouting vulgarities, profanities, and very nasty words towards my person, toward myself.
Y'all are funny. Y'all are like, oh, I'll go to church now. Can I go online? Please.
While I'm working,
I don't know what this man's preaching, by the way. I mean, I haven't been to his church, but I can say like Life Tabernacle in Baton Rouge, like a very old, like well-known church over there.
on this particular bus, he said, Tony, I'm quoting him, he said, Tony, I'm going to rape your wife. I'm going to rape all of your grandchildren.
Oh, your grandchildren. That's literally fighting words. If somebody can't beat the brakes off of you saying that, then there's no fighting words at all. And I'm not, encouraging just because of the fact that, where we are and stuff. I'm not encouraging it. I'm not going to play the video, but it's out there.
And he said, the next time you go out of town, I'm going to kill them. And what the F are you going to do about it?
I'm going to kill them.
End quote.
When you go out of town, I'm going to kill your family.
This has gone on for years now.
My daddy would have beat him down. And look, that's his friend. He grew up with him.
Behind me are several witnesses who can attest to what was said. They have video. They have made numerous complaints to the police and the sheriff's department.
Y'all are saying amen.
Our church represents 27.
It's a great point. Thank you so much to Shauna Griffin for pointing this out as well. Yes, it is true. I'm not going to play the video, but the boy, it's 20-year-old boy too, and he beat the snot out of him. The preacher in his probably 40s, 50s, like, you know, late 40s, 50s, he won the fight. There's no question. He's the one got arrested, but he was not the one swung first. His mama said, don't start no fight, but you better finish one. And he did. Oh, he finished. Oh, he finished the fight.
Nationalities. Every nationality that comes to this church comes for a safe place of refuge, a place of worship. Many recovering addicts who come for a place of worship. They are constantly stalked by these individuals across the street.
That's a shame.
They are constantly intimidated.
That's a shame.
With threats of bodily harm.
Yes, there are videos. Actually, in Shoesy, I saw a video of one of the guys. It's a son and a dad. The son's like 20, 21. The dad's like, you know, dad age of a 20-year-old or whatever, you know, fit 60s, whatever. The dad, I have seen a video of him making an obscene gesture, grabbing his junk, thrusting while he's grabbing his junk, flipping off the people going into the church. Yeah, I have seen at least one video of that. Yeah.
There's not a person that's come to this church that's standing behind me in this meeting today who hasn't been called the racial slurs of the N-word, their children.
GRB Chaser, I don't know if we was reading the same Bible, because I remember Jesus flipping over the tables of the money changers in his father's house. He said, you're not going to defile my father's house. You're going to get out of here. So Jesus had a little bit of a temper himself. Indeed.
Have been screamed and shouted with vulgarities. As a shepherd, I have not allowed the sheep to attack the wolves for what was said to them.
Oh.
I've given you a complete and true statement of what happened yesterday. I can't allow a man to rape my wife. I can't allow a man to rape my grandchildren. I will not allow a man to murder my children when I'm gone. The next time you leave, I'm going to kill your family. What the F are you going to do about it?
That's crazy.
At this time, I'm going to turn the press conference over to my attorney. I have complete confidence in Jeffrey Wittenbrink. He's been my representation for 6 years. If he wants to take questions, he will. If he allows me to, I will.
Okay, let's hear from the lawyer.
Good afternoon.
Okay,
Everybody doing okay?
This audio sucks. One thing I will say about the whole entirety of this story is every time I'm trying to watch a video, the audio is just less than ideal. I mean, it's not their fault, but it's like all this loud trucks and stuff in the back. Okay, I slowed it down to 1.25.
I don't know if anybody has any questions. I just want to say it's sad that we've had a failure of law enforcement, and it may be that there's a gap in the law. It may be it's perfectly permissible for someone to shout vulgarities and grab their body parts and flash you and make threats of rape or bodily harm.
That's crazy.
Or actually
It's
even to kill
nasty.
somebody.
And it
Maybe
should be
that's
illegal.
Perfectly legal. God knows that these poor folks over here have complained many, many times. We've tried to get a meeting. It looks like the meeting was just a little bit too late. I think that these folks have been pressing this and trying to instigate some kind of problem here at the church for years. They don't like the church. They've made that clear.
Look at this
They've
kid with the
complained
John
about
Deere
every
hat
single
and the
thing
Jordan
about the
shirt.
church. They've initiated complaints from everything from the music to the lights.
So these people have been also lodging all these complaints. The music's too loud. The lights are too bright. They'll call the cops on the church all the time.
And don't care for us. The man that's the head of the household over there told the French media that he could solve the problem. If he could have a Kalashnikov, he can solve the problem. That's what we're dealing with these folks. So it's a sad day to have to be here. I would say that every man has his limits.
Every man has his limits. I mean, at some point, you telling a man that you're going to R-word his wife and his grandkids, all of them, and then you're going to kill him? And it's been going on for years, and the cops haven't done anything to this guy. In fact, and indeed, they had a whole surveillance operation set up at that guy's house. Like, okay, look, say what you want about how this guy acted during COVID. You're allowed to your opinions, for sure. But, like, people are allowed to go to their place of worship without having someone threaten to kill them. That's insane. That's insane.
When you get pushed to that point, certainly sad for a pastor, a man of the cloth. I just want to tell you, it's certainly a failure.
Are these people the ones like blaring like sonic booms into the microphone? Like what? I cannot hear this man.
Of laws and our enforcers to keep the peace. Because all these folks want to do is go to church in peace and live in peace. And when you have to endure being called racial names,
They were saying the N-word, apparently.
Threats of violence and rape. It's intolerable after a certain point. So, do you have any questions? Yes, sir.
Pastor Squirrel, what would you say to people that believe that the physical reaction that you had doesn't reflect what a pastor or a man of the cloth?
What do you say to the people who say that your physical reaction that you had is not Christ-like? That's not how a pastor's supposed to act. His answer to this is so good.
What would you say to that?
My response is, and I'll allow my attorney to answer to this as well, but my response to that is, 30 years ago, I asked my father-in-law
Oh,
for
it's
my
good.
wife's
I get
hand in marriage.
chills.
For 19 years, my father-in-law was the natural protector of my wife, Shay. I knelt down in the gravel, I asked for her hand in marriage, he consented. He said, up to this point, I provided for her financially,
19.
I provided
He
for
got
her
engaged,
spiritually,
she
I
was
gave her a
19.
roof over her head, I protected her. Now that job is yours. As the natural protector, I have an obligation to protect my wife from would-be rapists. As the natural protector, I have an obligation and a duty to protect life,
A
liberty,
duty.
threats of bodily harm. So to the people that think this was a bridge too far, you can determine that. This will be determined in a court of law.
That's true.
But the answer is, as a natural protector to my wife and to my grandchildren who were threatened murder, who were threatened rape, I have a duty and an obligation to protect them. As a number one, I'm a husband.
What you gonna say to that?
Number two, I'm a father. Number three, I'm a pastor who shepherds his flock.
Does it sound like
It's
he's
not
sorry?
the job of the sheep to attack wolves. It's the job of the shepherd to protect his sheep.
From the wolf.
You're not going to rape my wife. I can't allow you to do that.
Ooh,
Uh,
sorry. Nope.
you're not going to rape my grandchildren and me live with the cloud over my head that if I leave, my children and wife are unprotected. I have a duty and an obligation
That's a man. I don't care what y'all say.
to do what I did.
So say it, Psalm. Amen and amen.
Have you all filed any reports to either Central Police or URSA between that time?
My understanding, there have been many, many complaints filed with the Central City Police.
So the news guy, he's like, have y'all bothered to report this to the cops? The lawyer said, oh, there's been many complaints filed to the Central City Police.
With the sheriff's office. We also know that the Central City Police are friends with these folks.
And the
across
sheriff's.
street. When Pastor
The Central City Police are friends with the people across the street, with the terrorists, alleged.
Spell was being surveilled 24/7. It was with the help of the man across the street. That was the nature of the interview that he gave to the French media. He had a bank of monitors in his home and a huge row of cameras, including
A bank of monitors in the man across the street's home. They were surveilling this pastor. No wonder the cops didn't do anything when they were called. They were using that man's house as a stakeout. That's what this lawyer is saying on the news yesterday.
large industrial scale camera that could see from across the street all the way into the pulpit.
Into
of
their
this church. Just through these
church.
windows. So powerful electronic equipment used to monitor Pastor Spell 24/7, and a lot of it came from his church with the help and the support of the Central Police Department. Unfortunately, they've gotten away with it. And so, but yes, there's been problems. Now, even before that, though, those folks would, again, like I said, complain about the music, complain about the lights, anything they could do to complain about the church or make things unhappy. And then it was progressed to where they're doing these.
I bet you they have been dealing with some crap for this past 6 years with this man. I just believe it. I have more links too.
Obscenities to people who just want to come and worship and go to church. I mean, how depraved is that? How depraved is that when you have an individual that wants to make.
Why was this pastor under constant surveillance? Well, it all started during COVID-19. He was one of those pastors. There was like a few of them down there in Louisiana who were not stopping their services. And it was like, no, there was a mandatory shutdown in the city. And they said, you're not in charge of me. God's in charge of me. And you don't get to tell me I'm not having church. My grandpa had church every single day, and every single Sunday, every single Wednesday, 3 times a week we had church, and we're going to keep having church. If y'all don't want to come, we'll live stream it, but we do in church. And the cops were like, we're going to arrest you. We're going to arrest you. We're going to arrest you. He said, okay, well, that still don't apply to me. So you can arrest me, but we still having church. And they did. They arrested him. And so ever since that, he is now seen as like a troublemaker.
These kind of ugly gestures to people that are just trying to come in and pray and be together as a community of faith. It's a terrible thing.
I do know when I spoke to Chief Corcoran, I guess according to his records, that they only had one report and that was one of.
So the cops are saying, oh, nobody told us that. No, there was only one report, and it wasn't even about the neighbor.
Recently, last month, like you said, last
That's
month.
incredible.
But the answer is, and I'll respond to that, that would be an indictment against the chief, because how many is needed?
How many
One
you
enough?
need?
But there have been more than one. Once is enough.
I did a FOIA request this morning, and he only had one, and it's not leaked yet.
It's still being under investigation, as well as we've looked into it. We're concerned citizens of Central. I've lived here my entire life, and the city did not install any cameras across the street. That had nothing to do with Central PD.
We just want to set the record straight.
Yeah, I have a question. Are you aware of the new law passed in the legislature this past session that would make it a crime in the state of Louisiana to impede someone from...
Okay, so that's pretty much it. Like, there was some stuff about a new law or whatever that might protect people's right to go to church or whatever. But, okay, I have some more links on this story. Okay, so then he went to church and started preaching the night he got let out of jail. Listen what he said.
They shall lay hands on the sick. And they shall recover.
The Lord said, you shall lay hands on the sick in my name, and they shall be well.
So today, Brother Mayor, and all of you, I fulfill the scripture. I lay hands on the sick. I don't know how much recovery they're going to have, but I lay hands on the sick.
He said, I laid hands on the sick. Hopefully he's going to be well.
In my name.
In my name, amen.
They shall lay hands on.
He got jokes. Brother Tony, got jokes. Okay. Here he is hugging his wife in the parking lot when he got out of jail. One day ago. Okay, so this Dylan Morse. Oh Lord. Dylan done wrote. Dylan said, tonight I took my sister to pick up her husband from jail. My brother-in-law, Tony Spell, walked across the street straight to her. She had no fear because for the 30 years they've been married, he has never hurt her or his kids in any way. In the jail cell, oh, this is so, like, he is such a G. Look at this. So he gets to jail, right? He found some of the men who once rode his bus to church when they were little boys. They showed him the most respect possible in jail as they gave him their phone minutes so he could make phone calls. Somehow the money that his wife had paid didn't get to his account. What he said in those calls is telling. He told his wife to pay the guy for the mechanical bull that's going to be at the special church event soon. That was his main concern. In the parking lot, it wasn't the media, but his wife, 2 sons, he also has a daughter too, and grandchildren that were important to him. I drove Tony and Shay home right next to the church. They didn't waste any time changing their clothes and walking right to church and going next door. Hundreds of people greeted him as he showed up, and not one, from the youngest to the oldest, feared him. They knew, just as I do, this man loves them, loves God, loves his family. I will not give more details on the case because it's ongoing, but you should ask yourself why a man who's devoted his life to serving others in ministry to do what he has shown. When the dust settles in this case, you're going to see there's much more to this story. Please at least wait for that to happen before you write him off as a violent man. He is not, but he is a man, the very kind of man you want protecting your sister and your family. Oh my God. So the brother speaks out. This is like a very excellent, whoever is doing this PR campaign, maybe it's the Lord himself, girl. This is such a good campaign because like this could go a total other way. This could have went a total other way. Look at it has 26.4 thousand likes. I swear my dad is guardian angeling over this guy right now. I swear. Me and my sisters have been laughing at how much, like, this is my dad. Like, it isn't. This is his friend he grew up with. But like literally my dad went to this guy's grandpa's school. Like they had a church school. My dad went there. Like this is like so close to home. Like if it was any closer, it would be in my house. Okay, so that's him hugging his wife in a parking lot. Okay, I think this is they did another filming of the church service. This is they're praising the Lord after he got out of jail today for second-degree battery. Where's Tony? I'm going. Next time I'm in Baton Rouge, I'm going. I might make the altar call. Who knows? I do love a good singing. I do like a good worship service. Okay. All right. What else? Brother Jenkins. What Brother Jenkins did? Hold on. I've been collecting links. I've been thinking y'all would want to see this. Domestic terrorism. Look at Brother Jenkins. Oh man, they got all kind of videos. Results in arrest of victim instead of the perpetrator. Tony Spell of Life Tabernacle Church was arrested today on a charge of second-degree battery after he punched an individual who had threatened to his wife and grandchildren. The incident is one in a long series of threats and overt actions by the neighbor happening almost every day for the past 5 years. The threats against the congregation appear to be motivated by the religious beliefs of the people in this Pentecostal congregation. Within the past 2 weeks, the neighbor has threatened to R-word an 8-year-old, he said black girl. He repeatedly shouts the N-word at black members of the congregation. This morning, the neighbor shouted that he was going to R-word the pastor's wife when the pastor went out of town and R-word his grandchildren. That is when the pastor crossed the road and threw a punch. Well, the punch got thrown first at the pastor. I will say that. I'm not going to play the fight video because I don't want to get struck off this, platform. But he did not punch first. He did not punch first. He was defending himself. I mean, he did walk over there. Please, y'all, we're not going to be arguing about COVID-19 in my comments. Go do that somewhere else. Okay. Many of these incidents have been reported to the Central Police, but have resulted in no arrests of the perpetrators. Instead, Pastor Spell has been hauled to the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. Woody Jenkins reporting for Central City News. Oh, no, go back. Okay, wait.
The sheriff's office is here. This church, Life Tabernacle, has been subjected to domestic terrorism and hate crimes for many.
They got the pawpaws, the peepaws, and the pawrans out here having to do these news reports.
This church, Life Tabernacle, has been subjected to domestic terrorism and hate crimes for many years, perpetrated by the family right across the street. In the recent weeks, there's been threats by them to rape an 8-year-old black girl who attends this church.
That's terrible.
And even today, there was a threat to rape Pastor Spell's wife.
That's insane.
This is a long series of incidents, most of which have been reported to the Central Police Department.
And they didn't do nothing.
None of which have resulted in any action by the Central Police.
That's a shame.
The day it all came to a head, Pastor Spell apparently went across the street and took a swing at the men hollering these threats. And he's been arrested instead of the people who've been engaged in this domestic terrorism. This is Woody Jenkins reporting from Central Louisiana, Life Tabernacle Church.
Oh man, he's like a real news reporter.
I'm BJ Holt. I'm a member here at Life Tabernacle Church, and we constantly had to deal with the neighbors.
I think this BJ Holt guy is married to my cousin. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he is. This is the guy right here, I think, is the one that sang at my dad's funeral. I thought this guy right here was the brother of the pastor, but apparently that's his dad. I mean, he looks pretty good.
Street, terrorizing us. We feel threatened every time we're at church, every time we leave the church. Just in the past week, I have a 16-year-old son. He was pulling into the entrance of the church in his truck, and the neighbor was turning in front of him. He starts flipping him off and hollering all kind of vulgarity at him. So my son's not paying attention. He pulled in front of an oncoming truck coming and hits the truck. Well, the neighbor turns around and starts to laugh at him.
He got in a wreck, and the neighbor laughed?
All kind of vulgarity with it. So that goes on. Sunday morning, we're driving the bus back down Hooper Road, and we see the neighbor at the neighborhood Walmart turning out. He's flipping us off. He gets in behind the bus. As soon as the road turns into 2 lanes right here on Hooper Road, he comes around my bus full speed, gets in front of me with children on the bus, slams on the brakes, causing me to almost hit into him.
It does seem like terrorism.
He goes on Sunday night, the same deal. My mother's coming out the church parking lot. They're shining a spotlight into her eyes. So it's an ongoing deal. I have my kids up here. I have a 15-year-old son and a daughter just turned 13-year-old. The neighbors have constantly hollered they're going to rape them, bend them over, just ongoing stuff. Every time we come up here, it's just for 6 years it's been going on. We come to church and feel terrorized. So I don't know what more has to happen before something's done.
What more has to
pleaded
happen?
With the cops, the police. They won't do anything. They come out and talk to them, and it's just
the fact that when it finally escalated to Pastor Tony Spell doing something about it, then the cops all of a sudden had the jurisdiction to show up and arrest somebody, huh? When he did something back, then the cops had the jurisdiction to show up and arrest somebody, but all them other times they couldn't. Okay, that's interesting. Even though Tony did not throw the first punch. That is very clear on the video.
Just get shut down, so every time we're here we feel threatened.
No,
I don't
they
know.
come and have coffee with them. That's what
Oh,
they do.
yeah.
They're buddies with the sheriff department and the Central Police
He's
Department.
shouting it in front of
And the
children.
Central Police Department
And he's calling like specifically black children the N-word, little kids, and saying that he's gonna assault them.
Law enforcement had cameras set up at his yard for the last 5 years, videoing everything that's going on and what's going on, videoing everything. So,
Yes, there are many recordings going around of these threats and of this neighbor flipping the people off, grabbing his crotch, thrusting his crotch, screaming profanities. There are many videos going around of that as well. It is recorded. They have recorded it.
then they had the screens set up in his living room there, big television screens, surveilling this property 24/7. And that was going on for what, 2 or 3 years?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the father and the son, there's not a day goes by. I live about a quarter of a mile up here next to the Methodist church. They'll come by, if we're out in the yard working, they'll roll the window down and start screaming vulgarities and blowing the horn. Then they'll pull up in that church parking lot, circle out, roll the window down, and start screaming at my wife, vulgarities, talking about raping them, and my mother-in-law, who's 87 years old, and it's just, they do that every day, okay? There's not a day goes by, they don't come in, if nobody's out there, they don't say nothing. But
so have you ever reported this to the Central Police Department?
every week we do, yeah. They know all about this man. They know, they come and have coffee with the guy. So he feels comfort and
They
protected.
come and have coffee with this guy.
And so my son was arrested today because the
His
guy was
son.
screaming, I'm gonna come
I
over there and
swear, I thought they were brothers this whole time. Okay, so this is the dad of the pastor. So the pastor that got arrested, this is his dad. This is the guy that sang at my dad's funeral.
your wife next time you're gone, I'm gonna kill people.
It's an entire family. Yeah, it's the dad and the son that live in the house. They're the ones that are terrorizing the people in this church.
Grandchildren. And so he was over on the servitude over there. My son was working on the bus. My
Yeah.
son walked over there.
The pastor and his dad and his congregation they're saying the abusive neighbor is friends with the cops, and that's why nothing happens to him.
And since the police department and the sheriff department won't do anything to him, well, then he gave him good working over on the servitude and left him in the ditch. So he's had it coming for a long time, and it's not the first time he's had it coming. He got worked over here about 2 or 3 months ago by someone that's riding down the road here. And so, you can only put up with something so long.
It's like
And
Westboro Baptist Church tactics.
It's just fortunate that it was my son that went over and beat him up and not one of these men here, because he may have not walked away from it. And
He
like
got
I
him
said,
pretty
he
good.
does it every day. There's not a day goes by. The sheriff department knows all about it. Sid TTRO, everybody at the police department, they all know about it. But he's protected. He's never been arrested. They just tell him, as long as you own your property, you can say anything you want. Well, okay.
He's behind that camera too, antagonizing people.
Yeah. And then his crazy wife on Sunday mornings, she'll come out there opening gates, and as the people are going out, she'll lift her
The wife is
blouse up
flashing the
over
Pentecostals
her,
on the bus,
breast, and show everybody her breast.
showing
Well,
her it like it's Mardi Gras on the side of the street.
You can hide behind freedom of speech all you want, but after a while, it's not freedom of speech. It's domestic terrorism. And they scream vulgarities to children, and it doesn't matter what race they are, black, white, Hispanics, it don't matter. And we have restrained some men from going over there and
They
taking
have
care of them
restrained men from
because
going
of
over
what
there.
they said to them, just working out here. And so my son finally had enough of it, and the guy was over here off his property screaming vulgarities at him, telling him what he's going to do to his wife, to his grandchildren. And my son walked over there and kind of rearranged his teeth.
The dad's
So-
proud. You saw that little smirk. Kind of rearranged his teeth.
This is common knowledge in Central, all over Baton Rouge. Law enforcement knows all about these people, but nothing's ever done. And matter of fact, that's what their intention was, to antagonize, to get somebody to go in their yard and take care of them so they could have a lawsuit against us. So that's the end of it. And there's much more. there's hundreds of people. Oh, yeah. Hundreds of people that go.
So apparently, you know, they've been antagonizing these people to try to bait the churchgoers into doing something. The brother. Okay. So this brother's somebody. Now he is apparently allegedly he has his wife's a black, and she has been antagonized by this man. By this neighbor, by this terroristic neighbor, allegedly terroristic. I don't know the man's name or anything. It says domestic terrorism and hate crimes. Tyler Morris, a member of the church who is married to a black lady, I guess they're not wanting to tell her name, which makes sense, tells about the racial slurs and criminal threats, which led him and his wife and their daughter to have experienced. They have constantly experienced this over the last 6 years from the Sherwin family across the street from Life Tabernacle. This is crazy.
I'm 39 years old and I attend Life Tabernacle. I've attended this place for 10 years. The man across the street.
It's loud. I'll turn it down a little bit.
Every time we go in and out, my wife's a black lady. My child is mixed. He uses the N-word. He makes sexual gestures toward him. My child asks me, "What does this word mean? What does that?"
Oh shoot.
Hello, my name's Tyler. We go in and out. My wife's a black lady. My child is mixed. He uses the N-word. He makes sexual gestures toward him. My child asked me, "What does this word mean? What does that word mean?" And it's words that she heard from him that she shouldn't be saying. Not only that, when we drive the bus and we take the kids back and forth to church, they're colored children, he calls them the N-word. He tells them he's going to rape them, he's going to attack them, he's going to do all this.
That's a shame.
He's been doing it almost every church service since I've been coming to this church since about COVID. And he's been harassing us continuously, and I've had to tell my child, ignore him, he's mentally unstable.
His child is
ignore him,
getting racial
there's
slurs
something wrong with him, pray for him.
hurled at
But
her
it's
to go to
constant
by going
harassment
to
to all
church.
the church members, calling the colored members the N-word, telling the women he's going to rape them, telling the men he's going to beat them up or kill them. He's waved the gun at us.
His
He's
wife's
done
a
all
black
this
lady.
over and over and over, and Pastor Spell has preached, forgive him, forget him, pray for him. We've all been doing it, and it's just constant harassment. We see him as, we're going to see it when we go outside. We've all learned that he's going to be there doing that almost every.
He needs to stop doing that. He needs to stop doing that. That's insane. Okay, so the story goes kind of viral, right? The story goes completely viral. And now the Central City Police, they done made a statement themselves. This is their statement. Oh. How do I make... All right. The Central Police Department has received calls, messages, and comments regarding the June 23rd, 2026 incident on Hooper Road and investigated by the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office. Now, who's saying this? Central Police. They're already passing the buck to the sheriff. The Central Police Department was not involved in that investigation, which resulted in the arrest of Pastor Tony Spell for a second-degree battery. The investigation and arrest decision in that incident was handled by the sheriff. Allegations that the Central Police Department has failed to investigate complaints lodged by the pastor or his wife are untrue. Oh, the cops are calling them liars. Our records reflect only 5 incidents involving Pastor or Mrs. Spell in the past 4 years. Yeah, but what about the past 6? That's what they've been saying. And only one of those involved a complaint against their neighbors. So that's one. They did admit that there was one. All calls to our department are recorded, and all persons who visit our department to make in-person complaints are captured on video. If dates and times complaints were allegedly made are provided to me, I will order an audit of our systems to investigate any claim of a failure to investigate. For many years and to this day, the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, we have parishes instead of counties. I don't know if y'all knew that. For many years and to this day, the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office has served as the primary law enforcement agency for incidents like this. We will work to support the Sheriff's Office should our assistance be requested as it continues to conduct its investigation. The safety of our citizens is and always will remain my top priority. Let me see if I can find evidence of the threat. Oh, I can't even show what he did to the guy. Oh, I ain't gonna be able to show. I can't show that. Scott Sherwin. I will say it appears as though he lost the fight. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to show those pictures. It looks bad. Like his chin is busted open. This deserves immediate involvement from the feds. Here's another example of tyrannical cops in America. I ain't showing it. I'm not trying to lose my spot over here, okay? But the Central City Police have made a statement. Now, I do have at least one screenshot of this guy mid profanity. Oh wait, I have this too.
Out here in Baton Rouge,
I have church on Tuesday night. I'm heading to the pulpit right now.
Oh, we saw that already.
I've got a red hot sermon.
His red hot sermon. Okay. There's a still shot in a new video released by the family that lives across the street from, so the terrorist family, alleged. This is Tony Spell. He could be seen charging across the street and confronting the neighbor. The video appears to show the 20-year-old neighbor swinging first before he's then pinned down. And this guy's the pastor, by the way. This is the pastor right there. This is the one that punched first. That's him right there. It's an exorcism. It's an exorcism. Look at the mugshot. Do you think he looks like he is sorry? No. According to arrest records, the charges stem from an attack that allegedly happened around 8 a.m. on Hooper Road, which is where Spell is the pastor. That's him getting arrested. He's accused of beating the man. Look at who curled up onto the ground as the accused continued to hit him. He announced that he plans to speak at the news media on Wednesday afternoon. He already did that. Okay, so there's, yup. Okay, that is loud. Excuse me. All right, they're gonna let me skip the ad in 12 seconds. I want to show y'all him walking across the street, but I'm gonna pause it before it gets to the part that I don't think I'm probably allowed to show, even though it is public and newsworthy. Look. And this one, look at him. He's jumping around like a maniac. He's definitely demon possessed. Look at him mid-run. He's had it. That's a man that's had it. He's filming him. He's screeching. It's giving Money Changer, honestly. I mean, look at him. Hyping each other up. You not gonna, my wife, you ain't gonna, you not, oh. Did you see that first swing? The first swing was that. That was the first swing. And then calamity ensued. I'm not going to play the rest of it. But these are, public news clips. But y'all saw him swing first, right? Thanks so much to Black Lake for the $4.99. He's lucky the pastor only gave him a good old-fashioned two-piece with several sides and nothing further. And it sucks when you can't call the cops and they won't do anything and someone is threatening to R-word your wife and grandchildren. Like, what really are you supposed to do? That's why we have to have the cops come and do something about things when, they are called. Now, one little insult, one little this, one little that. But this does appear to have been going on for a long time. Thank you to Dream for the $2 super chat. Well, yes, there are videos of the alleged threats. I don't have them on hand right now. I mean, I can go and try to find some. I am looking for a picture of. Okay, here might be one. Let's see. This is the dad. So who you just saw just now was the son. So this is the dad right here, the bald one. And apparently this is a video of prior behaviors. Okay, so this is oh look, see? Did you see he grabs his junk? Look, there's the cops. That's a cop getting into the car. Look at the bulletproof vest. He did do it right in front of the cop. Look, he's about to grab his junk. This is probably look. Y'all saw that? The rest of it is just news clips we already saw. Okay, let me see. Here's another picture. Different day. The guy flipping him off, and he's got a gun in his hand. Okay. He's flipping off and has a gun in his hand. Domestic terrorism and hate crimes. Holding a gun as he makes obscene gestures in an attempt to violate freedom of religion by trying to make people afraid to attend church. This is Scott Sherwin. I thought the son's name was Scott. Making an obscene gesture toward members of the Life Tabernacle congregation as they were leaving church about 1:45 on the afternoon, August 10th, 2025. According to the pastor's wife, Sherwin has done this over 1,000 times since March 2020. This time was different because Sherwin appeared to be holding a gun in his right hand. The pastor and his wife and members of the congregation say they have filed many police reports, but so far nothing has been done. This man lives directly across Hooper Road from the church. His home was used by law enforcement throughout COVID and for years afterward to monitor the comings and goings of everyone attending this church. A large screen in his home was connected to numerous law enforcement cameras along Hooper and Blackwater Road for over a quarter mile, including one camera aimed at the Spell's bedroom. Oh my gosh. The Sherwins often fly the flag of Belarus, a communist country. Oh, where Mrs. Sherwin is from. So maybe maybe there's a communist, I don't know. I don't know what these people are doing. FBI. Oh my gosh. Okay, look at this. My mom just sent me this. Actually, can't get the feds involved. Want to know why? The feds already got involved. They were doing the spying. That makes sense. That makes sense. This makes sense. This is a civil rights issue. FBI spied on Central City Church. Feds based surveillance in home of man who said he'd rather use Kalashnikov on the church. What's that mean? Scott Sherwin had his first conflict with Life Tabernacle Church in 2006, shortly after the church opened from across his house on Hooper Road. Sherwin started harassing 78-year-old Dorothy Spell. Oh, I knew her. I think I went to her funeral. The wife of the then pastor, Reverend B.A. Spell. Mrs. Spell was in poor health and recovering from major surgery, according to Mrs. Spell, who is now deceased. Okay, so look, he's laughing. What does Kalashnikov mean? Kalashnikov. It's an AK-47. Hey, this man is a domestic terror. What? Look at the This is crazy. This is crazy. Scott Sherwin in his home on Hooper Road watching the spy cameras set up by the FBI? What? Girl, what's their GoFundMe? What is Pastor Tony Spell's GoFundMe? Kalashnikov is the K in AK-47. The cops have done nothing in 6 years. Explain that. Girl, doesn't this explain that? I think we just found our explanation. This dude's acting for the feds. Nothing's going to happen to him. Well, now it might. Where's Ben? We need Ben. We need Ben. Where is Ben? We need Reckless Ben on the case. This is sick. Like, I'm not a Pentecostal. I made a conscious choice not to be a Pentecostal, and I do not practice any organized religion. So this isn't me being like, oh, I want to have some special treatment for these people. No. A Muslim, a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Pentecostal, a Mormon should be able to go to their place of worship peacefully and do their worshiping. It's like one of the foundations of this country. And these folks are getting spied on by the FB freaking I? You kidding me? You kidding me? No, I do not know. I do not know where the K and AK-47 comes from. No. I mean, believe it or not, people in the South have more like hunting rifles and handguns. I don't really know anybody that's got a whole bunch of AK-47s. It's a rifle. I can't believe this. Oh my Lord. Oh, okay, we got more pictures. Look, oh man, this guy is a freak. This guy is a demonic freak, and I rebuke. I rebuke in the name of all that is all. Hold on. I rebuke. This guy is an antagonizing freak. Look at him. That's him and his communist concubine. World's youth something person, and he's grabbing his junk. And here's his concubine from Belarus. Oh my God, I rebuke. Oh, I rebuke. They do look like terrorists to me. These people look like terrorists to me. What else? What's this? I want a video of the threats being made. Message cameras. What? I think this is the same one we already saw. Hold on. I saw this one. Blew a kiss, grabbed his junk. Okay, so we already saw that. Then there's him flipping off. There's him. Here he is set up outside just menacingly staring over there. And in and of itself, like, I don't really care. Like, whatever, who cares? He's sitting on his porch. But, like, it, with all the context, it does seem menacing. It seems menacing. I don't like it. I do not like it. What else? And they scream at the people. And look at him. Look at this freak. And this is before he started going bald. So it has been going on for a while. Look, this is before he was fully bald. You can see in this picture he had hair. He had hair. And now he's bald. Look. And look what's in his hand. That's insane. Something's wrong with this man. I think he needs to be in prison. Another pic of the cop. I mean, it is like the same picture. I mean, I am sure that these people do have videos of the threats and things. Let's see. Look at this obscene freak. And this is a cop in this car. He's doing it right in front of the cops. Now, just doing this in and of itself, who cares? Like, you can do that in your own driveway if you want. But then when you start saying, I'm going to R-word your wife. Yeah, that was a gun. Yeah, he had a gun in his hand. He said, I'm going to R-word your wife and I'm going to R-word your grandkids. And then when you go out of town, I'm going to kill them all. Like, okay, that's a little different than this. And it adds just like context to it. Ew, though. Indeed. Anyway, so I'm going to be following that story. And I hope they about to sue the socks, the pants, the purse off these people. Can we move them up to Compton? I think they do just fine. The people in Compton probably be scared of them. He's pinching his pants to indicate there's nothing in there. Except maybe another pew pew. This was a hilarious and confusing way to join the live show just now. Oh, Belarus is not communist? Let me look it up. Is Belarus communist? It's an authoritarian presidential republic with highly state-controlled mixed economy. Okay. It allows some private industry, but the country retains heavy Soviet-era symbolism, collective farms, a large public sector, and operates like a dictatorship under President Alexander Lukashenko. So, I mean, it does seem pretty communist to me. Like, potato. Again, it is not a communist country. Rather, it is an authoritarian presidential republic with highly state-controlled mixed economy. While the country retains heavy Soviet-era symbolism, collective farms, and a large public sector, it allows private industry and operates as a dictatorship under President Alexander Lukashenko. Okay, so, I mean, potato, as far as I'm concerned. Potato. It's not a democracy. It just means Little Russia. Oh, yeah, Belarus. It was a communist puppet state. Okay, well, girl, New York's turning into that if you want to really talk about it. But anyway, listen. I wanted to tell y'all about that. Me and my sisters have been literally laughing at how much this situation reminds us of something that our dad would do. In a way, it has just really, reminded us of him. There is a certain level of like, absolutely, you shouldn't be doing second-degree battery and all of that. But if you call the cops over and over and over again, and someone's making threats to kill your family, and they swing on you and hit you first, what are you supposed to do? It's been years of this. Like, I mean, I'm just wondering, what are you supposed to do? Because these people have been pulling out guns on the churchgoers. I didn't see Tony Spell pulling out any guns. I hope that in the future, when a call gets made because of these freaks across the street from the church, that the cops show up and do something about it. And then Pastor Tony Spell will not have to worry about protecting his family from death threats, literal death threats. I mean, we hear all the time, a death threat, a bomb threat, and it's not true. Nobody threatened nobody with a death. It sounds like this man actually did. And if he didn't, and if all the people at the church are just lying, then shame on them. But I really don't think that's what's going on. The guy would have done that to me. My husband would have went off too. Where's the Adidas tracksuits and the gold chain? Exactly. The president is a Russian puppet. Well, we don't live in a communist country, and I would like to keep it that way. I think people should be allowed to go and worship, whatever the God they choose and the way they choose, and they should be able to do it without their kids being threatened to get R-worded, without them getting threatened to be R-worded, without a man, a freak of nature, across the street with a gun. I mean, these are things that we're supposed to be able to do. And when you call the cops to do something about it, they should do something about it. But instead, the FBI was actually using this guy's house as a place to monitor and surveil these people going to church. That is crazy. And now I'm invested. Oh, also, did I mention this guy's dad sang at my dad's funeral? So don't mess with my people, okay? Don't mess with my people. We're going to be covering this story now. Okay, let me check on Ben's documents and see if anything got uploaded. It is 4:00 now on the East Coast. So over there, I think it must be, what time is it in Utah? Does Utah have one time zone or two? I know over there it kind of, is that mountain time? Is it like 3:00 over there? Or is it like 2:00 over there right now? Okay, let's see, 260. It's 2:08. So still some time to go. Are the feds still surveilling the church? I mean, probably. 3 hour difference. Okay. Wait, no, it would be 2 hour, because California is 3. That's Pacific. Oh, yes. Breaking news, new document. Okay, let me download it. Breaking news, new document. It's called Joint Response, Clarification regarding court's concern regarding entry of stipulated preliminary injunction. Okay, y'all, here we go. Watch it be like you don't have enough money. Okay, I do. All right, let me print this out. Breaking news, we do have a new document. Filed in the RICO case, the one where we did see the attempted modification of the temporary restraining order yesterday. The judge did not sign it. He refused to sign it. He told his reasons why. We read them earlier. And over the course of this live stream right now, the lawyers have submitted something that looks like they're trying to clarify. So this is 85 or 484. Joint clarification. Okay. And let me also download the 85th document. Okay. What is this? All right. Okay. Just give me a second. I have to download these documents so that then I can read them to y'all. Okay. Pulling up the document from the downloads. Okay. The judge refused to sign the previous proposed modification to the temporary restraining order, which would have then also made it a preliminary injunction, converted it from a temporary restraining order. So it's 3 pages long. It says joint response. So yet again, both sides coming together as a team to both agree to this. Joint response clarification regarding the court's concern regarding entry of stipulated preliminary injunction. Plaintiffs, BAM Franchising, Inc., Eamon McNeff, his brother Matthew McNeff, Joshua Aaron Johnson, Brandon Thomas Best, Baker Bricks, LLC, doing business as Salem Baker Bricks, Incorporated, through counsel, respectfully submit this joint response. Oh, but not defendants? It's only the... It's just the plaintiffs. Oh, no, it is. Okay. They just left off the defendants. So this is procedurally, I think, improper. However, Ben and Victor's lawyer did actually sign it. So the judge may kick this back down to here because it's supposed to say they all respectfully joint submit. Like when you're doing a joint submission, it's supposed to be everybody that's doing the joint submission. It only says the plaintiffs here. But we submit this response / clarification regarding the court's concern regarding entry of stipulated preliminary injunction in response to the court's noted concerns regarding the scope of the party's proposed stipulated preliminary injunction. Okay. The following joint responses and clarifications are believed to be dispositive. The language of the stipulated preliminary injunction, so the language of that previous document that apparently was supposedly overly broad, was carefully designed by the parties to modify and narrow the scope of the court's initial temporary restraining order, which has been submitted by stipulation, agreement, and joint motion of the parties. There's no number 2. This thing is inartfully drafted. Okay, whoever drafted this thing, they should have had a proofreader. I want the... Can I move it? No. Okay. Where's number 2? It goes straight from 1 to 3. Okay, the language was carefully designed, Your Honor. That doesn't get us anywhere. The judge still said it was overly broad, so I don't care how much time y'all spent on it. The judge said it was overly broad, and I actually agree. They skipped number 2. Number 3, the identity of plaintiffs, their franchisees, and business locations are matters of public record, as they are franchised bricks and minifigs retail businesses, each with branded storefronts, business addresses, readily identifiable online, physical and email addresses, and phone numbers. Not true. Not true. Because, for example, we happened, by happenstance, to find out that Joshua Aaron Johnson was one of the owners of the Eugene and Salem Kaiser store. We happened to find that out by happenstance. However, if you were to just look at the franchise agreement, if you were to just look at the if you were to look at the franchise disclosure statement, for example, Joshua is not listed as one of the owners. So now that begs the question, where else does that happen? Does Bricks and Minifigs and the people in charge over there do a thorough job of actually documenting who is an owner, who is a corporate employee, which one of the stores is a corporate store, et cetera, et cetera? So, I mean, he can just look it up. This is not going to pass muster, y'all. I'm telling you, the judge is not going to go for this. He's still going to have a hearing on the 30th. The judge said change the freaking language, and they're basically saying no. The private home addresses of every franchisee owner. Well, I'm confused about this language. The private home address of every franchisee owner and or employee may not be known, but such may be discoverable via public records. And as to whether videos have been taken down, remember the judge was like, also, I need y'all to address the video. What about the videos that have been taken down? What are we supposed to do with those? Remember the judge had ordered those to be taken down? Well, they never were. As to whether videos have been taken down, plaintiffs are unaware of any publications or other videos having been taken down. Nevertheless, the parties have agreed and acknowledged the proposed stipulated preliminary injunction is not intended to restrain lawful speech in any way, as it is their intention to allow a full and free discussion on the subject of this litigation, which they believe makes this issue moot. Huge deal here. Bricks and Minifigs is admitting, that's what it looks like to me, that the previous videos are lawful free speech activities. And since the preliminary injunction is not intended to restrain lawful speech, it is the plaintiffs, that's Bricks and Minifigs, Josh, Brandon, Ammon, Matt McNeff. They say it's our intention to allow full and free discussion of this subject and of the litigation. Accordingly, plaintiffs respectfully request that the proposed preliminary injunction be entered as clarified in this joint response of the parties to this litigation. It's not going to work. I don't think the judge is going to let this slide. The judge said, who does this apply to? And we do not know. The judge, what was the judge's issue? Let me pull it up. What was the judge's problem? What did he state his issue being? The modified temporary restraining order as written, not signed by the court, because the following section is very broad. It is unknown if the defendants know. Okay? It is unknown if the defendants, that would be Ben, the defendants, Ben, Reckless Ben LLC, Victor Wynn, Brian Mansell. The judge said, I don't know if the defendants actually know who the employees and franchisees of Bricks and Minifigs are. We don't know which locations they're talking about. It relates to entering, remaining at, filming, blocking access to, approaching within a defined distance. Not only plaintiffs themselves, not only franchisees' stores, offices, warehouses, franchise locations, parking areas, employee homes or franchise homes hereafter except through counsel, lawful service of process, or court-approved activity. The modified TRO does not address the videos that were taken down. Okay, so the modified TRO now addresses the videos that were not taken down. However, this problem still remains. It isn't that something is a matter of public record. There's many things that are a matter of public record that the average person doesn't even know. Much less can you impute knowledge upon Ben. Something can be a matter of public record. For example, my first middle and last name is a matter of public record because people have known my first, middle, and last name. Now, does that mean for sure any particular person knows my first, middle, and last name? No. Does that mean that a person would necessarily be able to find it out? Perhaps. It is in the public record. But this judge is not saying could, would, should. The judge is saying does. How do I know that Ben knows who he's agreeing to stay away from? How do I know y'all aren't going to just gotcha? No, he does. I think he wants further definitions, and I don't think what they just submitted, I do not think what they just submitted is going to pass muster. I really don't. I really don't. Because what is his problem with it? It is unknown if the defendants, that would be specifically Reckless Ben LLC, Ben himself, what's his name? Victor Wynn, Brian Mansell. The judge is like, I don't know if the defendants are even aware who they're supposed to stay away from, what parking lot they're supposed to stay away from, all of this. I have no idea. Like, I need to know for sure that Ben and Victor and Brian are agreeing, yes, these specific people, these specific places. They might just be in a parking lot of a warehouse one day and have no idea that it was a franchisee warehouse. They might be accidentally violating a TRO. So I need to know who they're supposed to stay away from. Otherwise, how the judge going to even enforce this thing or adjudicate it if there's any issue with it? I don't think this is going to pass muster. I don't think this is going to pass muster. Let's look at it once again and see how they tried to remedy it. This is a brand new filing, a breaking filing. Just got filed while this live stream was, or just hit the public docket while I was doing this live show. So and another issue that I find, another variable I think is going to be an issue here, is that this, while it was signed, it is signed by Ben's lawyer. It doesn't say that Ben's side is actually coming forward to make these clarifications. It only mentions the plaintiffs. Plaintiffs, BAM Franchising, Ammon, Matthew, Josh Johnson, Brandon Best, Baker Briggs, Salem Baker Briggs. They are the ones who submit this. This is our joint response and clarification. The language of the stipulated injunction was carefully designed by the parties. Who gives a shit? The judge already said, no, it's not good enough. So that doesn't really get you anywhere. Number 2, who knows, is gone. Number 3, the identity of plaintiffs. Well, plaintiffs, yeah, we all know who the plaintiffs are. Ammon, Matt, Josh, Brandon, Bam, Baker Briggs, Salem Baker Briggs. We all know the plaintiffs. Okay, yes, they are, and their franchisees and their business locations are a matter of public record. I'm not actually sure they're franchisees. Is this supposed to say franchisees or franchises? The stores they own, what does that mean? Plaintiffs, BAM's franchisees, they're all matters of public record, but like the different public records say different things. It's not good enough. They're going to have to give a list of people. They're going to have to. These random franchisees, the judge already said this was a problem. He's not going to accept this overly broad, vague language. So I don't know why they even submitted this. This isn't going to work. That's my prediction. The private home address of every franchisee, owner, or employee may not be known, but could be discoverable via public records. So the judge, so before Ben goes anywhere, he's supposed to do a public record search of every house around the 100-yard area. It's not going to work. This isn't going to cut it. The parties have agreed and acknowledged. Okay, and then whether the videos have been taken down, I think they do adequately address that. They basically just say no videos were taken down. We're okay with it. That is the one thing I think they do handle appropriately. I still think the main problem that the judge had with this is still an issue here. It's also a horribly inartfully drafted document. They're missing a number 2. They don't include the defendants in here as in the joint stipulation list of people that's doing the joint stipulating. So it does look like an ex parte stipulation, but then Ben's lawyer does sign it. And I'm sure they were just trying to go fast. So let's see. There was one other filing. I don't think this one's going to be substantive, but I'll pull it up here. No notes listed here. Following people were served. Okay, so that's it. Let me go back to the court website and do one more final search just to make sure we're not going to miss anything here. Oh, I got to add some credits. Great. Okay. All right. I'll just take that as a sign. We'll just check it later. Thanks so much to Megalicious for the $5. Background checks worked great for this mentally unstable gun owner. Sarcasm. Yeah, no, nothing worked for him. He needs an exorcism. Thank you for the $5. Thank you to Dream for the $2. You're amazing at noticing the details others miss. Sometimes I miss them too. Judges, ire incoming. I don't think it's going to work. This is the BAM playbook. Extend, delay, obfuscate. Could be. Part 3 ain't coming out today, it seems. I mean, at this point, I think the language, actually, what I will say, I do think the language, okay, good news. I do think the language that they put in this does actually protect Ben even more to release part 3 if he really wanted to. This is not legal advice. He should definitely be talking to his lawyers, his 5 lawyers for legal advice, and not listening to people on the internet. For legal advice, this is not legal advice. I'm not giving legal advice. Just be very, very, very clear. But there's kind of like 2 major things at play here. One is like in-person stuff, and another is online stuff. When you really think about it, there's not that much they're suing Ben for that he did online. A lot of the stuff they're suing him for is coming to their business, coming to the house, sending a process server. Now, there was the one like boom in the video that they're the hard way. They're trying to say that was, one thing that they are complaining about being a death threat or a violent threat of violence or something. But there's online stuff and there's in-person stuff. They basically, in their joint stipulation yesterday, the stipulated modification, proposed modification of the temporary restraining order and making it into a preliminary injunction, as well as this clarification today, the BAM parties, Josh, Ammon, Matt, all of them, they have now basically said Ben don't have to take his videos down. That to me means they know that he could put his videos back up. Now, he can't say anything illegal. He can't do a bomb threat, a death threat, but duh, we already knew that. So I think, even with what's been filed now, even if the judge doesn't sign it, again, this is not legal advice. He should definitely be getting legal advice from his 5 lawyers, but I think he's probably good to release part 3. But it ain't done. He said it wasn't finished. He said yesterday on his video he put out on his Patreon that it's not finished, and he's waiting for somebody to do animations. So it ain't even like it was finished today anyway. And maybe it is now, but thanks so much to Pyrex for the $4.99. Seeing how BAM is so detail oriented, I'm sure BAM would be super diligent about keeping that list current. Yeah, I'm sure. They don't even know what's on their own Google Drive. Thank you for that $4.99. Okay, y'all, I'm going to be going on, Brandon Buckingham just uploaded a video interviewing Ben. That's true. All right. Listen, I got to go. I am going to take a rest. I will be on Making Law Simple tonight. Let me put the link in here. And save your questions up, save your excitement up, because I'm going to be over there. Yeah, he sure did. He sure did just upload that video. Brandon Buckingham. Okay, I'm going to be on this channel tonight and be building my very first Lego set. Everybody's going to be, I'm sure, very extremely excited to see what my Lego set looks like. As you can see, I have my notification on. I'm going to be going on there at 8 o'clock. Let me get the link for y'all. Come hang out for Lego, Law, Life, and Libations. Oh, I don't know what libation. I'm gonna have to concoct a libation. Okay. I did link it down there, and I will be over there on there tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. 8 o'clock Eastern. And between right now and then, I'm going to be resting. No, it's not the Ewok Village, but I swear one of these days I am going to find out what that is. All right, that's all I really had for this one. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation, neither are opinions, and everybody's innocent until proven guilty. Love you, mean it, K, bye.